Chapter 409. At 7 in the morning, Wang Pu woke up on time. He washed up in a hurry and ran to work in the morning light. This was the most important way for Wang Pu to exercise his body. Unless it was raining or snowing, he would never stop. He had breakfast in a breakfast shop not far from his office. It was still early. Wang Pu walked as usual and took out his phone from his pocket. He opened the app of Waves Books. He couldn't wait to know how the Smiling, the Proud Wanderer was doing, and whether it was pushed down from the top of the weekly recommendation list by other books. Wang Pu scrolled through the rankings. Surprisingly, he didn't see any familiar titles on the weekly recommendation list. Pushed out of the top 10 so quickly? The weekly recommendation list of Waves Books only showed the top 10. Wang Pu couldn't help feeling disappointed. But soon he found something was wrong. Because the data on the phone showed that the recommendation for the 10th place had less than 3,000 votes. How was that possible? Wang Pu remembered very clearly that in the wee hours of the morning, the Smiling, the Proud Wanderer, was at the top of the list with 3,780 votes. How could it not be in the top 10 now? Wang Pu suddenly had a bad feeling. He hurriedly clicked on more data on the weekly recommendation list, but the name of the Smiling, the Proud Wanderer was nowhere to be found. Wang Pu quickly took out the Smiling, the Proud Wanderer from his bookshelf and opened it to check the data. Weekly recommendation, 0. 0 votes. Wang Pu felt like there were 10,000 alpacas galloping through his heart. His face turned red and his hair stood up. Damn it. What the F***ck? Although Wang Pu was young, he was definitely an experienced reader of online novels. He knew the rules of the literature website. He knew that it was not the website's data that was wrong, but the votes were blocked because it was considered to have been manipulated. The votes were reset to 0, and all votes were invalid within the time limit. If the Smiling, the Proud Wanderer was really manipulated, Wang Pu would accept it. Nowadays, the website was quite strict with this kind of cheating, and the punishment was not low. As a reader, he would support it. However, these recommendation votes were cast by hundreds and thousands of readers. They were definitely not cheated. Last night, everyone had worked hard in front of the computer until 12 o'clock to vote. Now all their hard work had gone up in smoke. How could Wang Pu be willing? The group was probably in an uproar right now. He couldn't help but speed up his pace and hurriedly came to his workplace. Before his boss came, he turned on the computer and logged into his QQ. As Wang Pu expected, several QQ groups were already full of complaints. Does anyone know why our recommendation votes have been cleared? Holy sh**t, are you kidding me? Hee. Books that haven't signed a contract won't be on the list. What else is there to say? This is too unfair. I want to complain. Forget it. The arm can't twist the thigh. What's the use of complaining? She doesn't even care about you. Aya, I'm so angry. Some people were confused, some were agitated, some were angry, and some were clamoring for justice. Even though the number of members online at this time was not bad, everyone was talking at once. Wang Pu clenched his teeth, his fingers tapping on the keyboard with extra force. For this matter, we have to seek an explanation from Waves Reading. Why did they remove our recommendation votes? We didn't fake our votes. It's normal for readers to vote to support their favorite books or authors. If this counts as fake votes, then there's no need for the list to exist at all. On this matter, Wang Pu was confident. How could he swallow his anger? His opinion was immediately supported by everyone. The way to seek an explanation was very simple, that is, to complain and protest through the customer service of Waves Reading. 1 or 2 complaints may not have any effect, but what if there are hundreds or thousands of people? The effect will definitely be different. The group members of the Smiling, Proud, and Smiling Wanderer Readers Group are still very united. Their large number of complaints and protests have also attracted the attention of Inspur official. Because many of these readers are VIP users, and their levels are very high. In other words, they were regular subscribers. Near noon, the department head of Waves Reading, together with the channel's editor-in-chief, editor, and technical customer service staff, held a small meeting to discuss this matter. The head asked, "What's going on with the book? The Smiling Proud Wanderer? So many people complained." The technician explained, "This book suddenly appeared on the top of the weekly list at 0:10 this morning. There's a serious suspicion of fake votes, so I blocked the votes this morning. The head frowned and asked, "Have you checked if it's really fake votes?" The technician shook his head. "Not yet. The votes are all normal, but..." At this time the channel's editor-in-chief coughed and said, "I've paid attention to this book before. It's quite good, and the theme is quite special, but the author refused to sign the contract." The supervisor furrowed his brows. "What's the reason for your refusal?" The editor-in-chief said, "He has a problem with the copyright contract, so he didn't want to sign it." "So that's why." The head suddenly understood. Sometimes the author refused to sign the contract and it was mostly because of the contract. But it was really rare for a book like The Smiling Proud Wanderer to appear on the homepage list without a contract. It should be known that unsigned works did not have any recommendations, so the exposure was too low. How could it compare with popular books? But understanding was one thing, but how to deal with it? The head was also a bit puzzled. It was obviously unjust to block the list, but since the author refused to sign the contract, it would not bring benefits to the website. Why would the website give the valuable homepage resources to him? After thinking about it, the head said resolutely, "Since it's blocked, let's block it to the end. Contact the author again and ask him if he is willing to sign the contract. If he is willing, then we will unblock it." What if he is still not willing? No one asked this question because it was not necessary. The customer service staff asked, "What about those complaints?" The head smiled and said, "Just tell them that the data of this book is abnormal, and the technology is dealing with it." In any case, he would not let The Smiling Proud Wanderer on the homepage, otherwise it would be too embarrassing. After the meeting, the editor-in-chief contacted Remember Now an Ancient again through QQ. However, she didn't get any reply. Because at this time, Lu Chan didn't know the storm caused by The Smiling Proud Wanderer at all. He was currently in Hangzhou. Chapter 410. On August 14th, Full House of Romance ended perfectly on Beijing television and Zhudong satellite TV. The 4 episodes broadcasted 2 days ago all had a viewership rating of more than 4%. By the 25th episode finale on the night of the 14th, the combined viewership rating of the 2 satellite TV stations reached 5.17%. Finally, the national average viewership rating of the popular drama steadily pulled over 3%, fully realizing and even exceeding the bold words released by Lu Chan before the broadcast. At the same time, the highest ratings of Full House of Romance in South Korea reached 42.72%, and the average ratings of the whole drama was 32.56%. It not only created a ratings miracle for domestic programs in South Korea, but also swept the Korean dramas of the same period, so much so that it triggered a wave of enthusiasm in South Korea's online community. At the same time, Lu Chun and Chun Feier's popularity in South Korea rose, becoming the most famous Chinese stars in South Korea. As for Shonan TV's Sea of Love, which originally competed with Full House of Romance in the ratings, it was ruthlessly crushed into slag in front of the ratings myth created by Full House of Romance. Although it did not change the broadcast time for the sake of face, it also became a joke in the industry. The winner takes all the honors. Although Full House of Romance was completely broadcast, the hot discussion about the show on the internet has not stopped. The number of fans of the official vlog of the crew even reached more than 5 million. And the popularity index was big, surpassing that of Autumn in My Heart. The fans of Full House of Romance were still not satisfied. The short 25 episodes obviously could not fully meet their needs, and the call for a replay or a sequel was very loud. Under such circumstances, Beijing Television and Zhudong Satellite TV announced at the same time that they would replay Full House of Romance at the end of August. At the same time, QQ Video also announced that it had won the right to broadcast Full House of Romance online. Full House of Romance was too popular, and its ratings were so high that it was dazzling. There were as many as a dozen TV stations seeking the right to replay, and the price offered was quite attractive. However, Beijing Television and Zhudong Satellite TV were reluctant to give up this super big fat meat. They would rather pay a large sum of money to keep the replay rights with the priority in the contract, and not let the fat water fall into the hands of outsiders. In addition, as one of the partners, Crown Pictures sought to purchase the movie rights of Full of Romance from Lu Chun Studio. Since both Lu Chun and Chen Feier had no intention of making a blockbuster movie like Full of Romance, and Crown Pictures was very sincere, the copyright contract was soon completed. The copyright transfer fee was 25 million yuan. The novel of the same name, Full House of Romance, was officially published by Shanghai Publishing House. Its first print run reached 500,000 copies. There was also a manga version, brand authorization, and a soundtrack album. After professional evaluation and the existing income, the final net profit of Full House of Romance for Lu Chun Studio would steadily exceed 100 million, and this was the income after tax deduction. Just by relying on this TV series, Lu Chun Studio was enough to rank among the first-class star studios. In addition to profits, he was also famous. Lu Chun's blog followers had also exceeded the 20 million mark. As an idol star who has only debuted for more than a year, Lu Chun is undoubtedly an artist who is good at creating miracles. His strength in music is well known, and he is proficient in both screenwriting and acting. His outstanding talent is simply enviable, as if it was a gift from heaven. A well-known blogger said on his blog, Lu Chun is an idol star because he has all the attributes of an idol: young, tall, handsome, healthy, sunny. But it is obviously very unfair to say that he is an idol star. He already has the potential to become a real superstar. What he lacks is nothing more than a few awards of sufficient weight. It is worth mentioning that the Yulan Awards, one of the two major domestic TV series awards, will announce the winners at the end of this month. As one of the highest-rated TV series last year, Autumn in My Heart, written and starring Lu Chun, has undoubtedly become one of the favorites. This inevitably makes people look forward to Lu Chun's performance at the Yulan Awards. Best TV Series, Best Actor, Best Screenwriting, Best Music, Best Original Theme Song. Amidst the uproar, Lu Chun announced that he would release his second album, The Ordinary Road, at the end of this month, and at the same time launched a crowdfunding campaign on the crowdfunding website, as well as a promotional tour in 7 major cities across the country. Lu Chun's second album can be said to be highly anticipated. The recording of all 10 songs has been completed, and is currently in the intense post-production stage. The first stop he chose to promote was Hangzhou. Hangzhou has a special meaning for Lu Chun. He finished 4 years of college here and left countless beautiful or sad memories in his life. On the first day in Hangzhou, Lu Chun first met Gao He and Wang Xiaoling, his old classmates who had just been married. The dinner in the evening was booked by Gao He at the famous Shizi Hotel in Hangzhou, which was regarded as a welcome dinner for Lu Chun. But eating was not the main purpose. The important thing was that Gao He had resigned from his original company. When he married Wang Xiaoling 2 months ago, Lu Chun mentioned to the two that he wanted to invest in a mobile game company. Lu Chun would provide funds and ideas and he would manage it. After 2 months, Gao He couldn't wait to start his own business. Of course, there is a reason. It's mainly the meaning of Xiaoling's family, Gao He explained to Lu Chun with a wry smile, looking quite helpless. Wang Xiaoling was very embarrassed. It turned out that although the two broke through the resistance of their families and got together, Gao He's father-in-law and mother-in-law were still dissatisfied with the marriage. In fact, it was mainly about buying a house. Both of them work in the company. Even if they earn double salaries, they don't know when they can buy a house in Hangzhou. Considering that they will have children in the future, they can't always rent a house, right? So their opinions are still quite big. The father-in-law and mother-in-law want to save face. They always feel that Wang Xiaoling is married like this. They can't lift their heads in front of their relatives and friends, so they can't help nagging Wang Xiaoling. Wang Xiaoling was complained by her family a lot, so she couldn't help but pull out Lu Chun's promise to prove that she has a future with Gao He. As a result, when Gao He's father-in-law and mother-in-law heard this, they immediately publicized this matter to their relatives and friends, and even Gao He's colleagues knew about it. This was very embarrassing. How could Gao He continue to stay in the original company, so he had to resign. Now that he has been put on the fire, he took advantage of Lu Chun's visit to revisit the old things and talk about starting his own business. After listening to the cause and effect, Lu Chun felt a little funny. Of course, it doesn't matter. At the beginning, he didn't make a promise without thinking. Now that Gao He has resigned, he will simply start the plan ahead of time. What's more, Lu Chun is prepared. Chapter 4:11. Gao He originally planned to come out after finishing his work in the company this year. Because of this unexpected change, It must have affected his plan, but his resignation was not the result of blindness and impulsiveness. Bad things can actually turn into good things. I have 2 buddies in the company who have a good relationship and are also capable. They want to start a business with me. Gao He said. Among the people who just graduated from our school this year, I have contacted several younger brothers. If needed, I can immediately pull up a team of 10 people. The scale of Gao He's previous company is not large. At present, the competition in the mobile game industry is extremely fierce. In the winner-take-all situation, the situation of small enterprises in the weak position is undoubtedly much more difficult. Low wages and benefits, high labor intensity, and uncertain future. Gao He has been in this company for more than a year, and he has long had the idea of leaving, but he stayed out of the need to accumulate work experience. So after talking to Lu Chun last time, he was actively preparing. A team of 10 or so people was definitely far from enough to make a mobile game. However, as long as the flag was raised, it wouldn't be difficult to recruit relevant professionals in Hangzhou, which was a hotspot for advanced technology. It just depended on how big the company needed to be. At the beginning, we don't need a lot of people. Lu Chun smiled and said, I have already thought about the first game project. What do you do? Gao He suddenly became interested. Role-playing? Action? Strategy? Puzzle? Oh. He asked about the type of game. For a new company to start a business, the choice of mobile game type is very important, and it is one of the keys to success. Gao He understands technology and can also be a hardworking IT scalper. But game creativity is not his strength. He cares about the creativity proposed by Lu Chun, even more than the funds provided by Lu Chun. In such a mobile game market, creativity is really king. Lu Chun was not in a hurry to answer. He asked the waiter to find him a pen and a few pieces of printing paper. Picking up the pen and writing a line of English letters on the paper, Lu Chun handed it to Gao He. Gao He took it and looked at it, and he looked confused. Wang Xiaoling curiously poked her head and asked cautiously, Happy? What was written on the paper was a website. Lu Chun smiled and said, That's right. This will be the new company's website. It will be called HappyNet. This URL had been registered a long time ago. Fortunately, it did not belong to a well-known website. Instead, it was in the hands of a domain name dealer. Lu Chun only spent 100,000 yuan to buy it. The first project of the new company will be a farming social network and mobile game. His brush flew, and he used simple strokes to quickly sketch out a rough image of the game on a new piece of white paper. There were fields, farmhouses, windmills, rivers, and so on. Of course, there were also growing vegetables. Lu Chun had learned sketching and coloring before. Although his drawing ability was far from that of a professional, it was still not a problem for him to draw this kind of childlike sketch. He finished it quickly. He used this picture to explain his ideas to Gao He. The name of this game is Happy Farm. All registered users have the initial resources, 6 squares of fields, farming tools, seeds, etc. They can log on every day to manage their own farms, planting, watering, fertilizing, pest control, picking. That's it? Gao He and Wang Xiaoling looked at each other and didn't know what to say. The two of them work in this industry. Not to mention their ability, they have knowledge and experience. Lu Chun's game creativity is a bit special, but it doesn't sound very attractive. Who would be bored enough to grow vegetables on their mobile phones and computers every day? How can they ensure customer stickiness? It's just that because of their face, the two of them couldn't say it clearly, and their expressions were a bit strange. Lu Chun looked at the expressions of the two of them and continued with a smile. Don't you think it's a little boring? In fact, the key to this game is interactive. Registered users can invite others to become friends, and then help their friends' farms manage and cultivate, or steal their planting results. That's stealing vegetables. In Lu Chun's dream world, Happy Farm once created a miracle in web games. The craze of stealing vegetables lasted for a long time, and it frequently appeared in the media and made a lot of news. Unfortunately, it appeared a little early, in the period when smartphones have just begun to develop. Otherwise, it will inevitably become a popular mobile game. It is simple, interesting, interactive, and aimed at the weaknesses of human nature. Lu Chun took this game as the startup project of his new company. First of all, Happy Farm is very creative, and it is guaranteed to be a hit. Secondly, it is not difficult to produce, and it is most suitable for small teams to start a business. Any mobile game will not have a long life, and Happy Farm is no exception. But when the game declines, the foundation of the company will be very solid. At that time, Lu Chan can come up with a lot of creativity. Fruit Ninja, Plants vs. Zombies, Angry Birds. After listening to Lu Chen's detailed explanation of Happy Farm, Wang Xiaoling, who is not a professional, reacted first. This is very interesting. We girls definitely like to play. Girls usually don't like fighting and killing games. Leisure games are the most suitable. Happy Farm is not only a casual game, but also has the attributes of upgrading and competition. The key is that it is extremely interactive. Lu Chan continued. Users can bind to QQ, so that users can directly use QQ to log into the game, add and invite all their friends to participate together. As the hegemon of online instant communication, QQ has the most extensive users in the world. It is a common practice for many websites and games to use ready-made QQ numbers to register members. Lu Chan Studio has a good cooperative relationship with QQ, so there is no problem in applying for the resources of QQ, and they can even advertise through QQ. Lu Chan has thought of this step. Even Gao He, who is still a little confused, was determined. Old 3, we will do whatever you say. I will listen to you. Wang Xiaoling gritted her teeth and said, Lu Chan, for the investment of the new company, Gao He will contribute 300,000 yuan, and I will contribute 200,000 yuan. The two of us will add up to a total of 500,000 yuan. The proportion of shares will be decided by you. Although it is said to be 2 people, it is actually all the funds that the 2 families can come up with. Lu Chan nodded. Then I will contribute 5 million yuan, accounting for 80% of the shares. You will contribute 10%. And the other 10% will be used as equity incentives for those employees who have made contributions in the future. What do you think? To start the Happy Farm project, 5 million yuan is definitely more than enough. Lu Chen's equity distribution plan is very fair and reasonable, and it is also slightly biased towards Gao He and Wang Xiaoling because 10% of the incentive equity is equivalent to him, and he also provided the most important creativity. Gao He said without thinking. No problem. Lu Chan smiled and held out his hand. Come, I wish us a happy cooperation. Chapter 412. Countless examples had proven that it was the easiest for friends to run a business together. When 2 or more good brothers ran a business together, they might be able to work together in the beginning. However, when the business was struggling or when they were growing stronger, their interests would cause a rift, causing the once indestructible friendship to lose its luster. Often in the end, the business fails and the brothers become enemies. Lu Chan, who has 3 life memories, deeply understands the truth, so he did not take it all at the beginning. In the most critical and sensitive equity distribution, he did not give too many benefits, which not only took care of Gao He's dignity, but also fulfilled the friendship between the 2 sides. Only such cooperation can last for a long time, and only in line with Lu Chen's original intention. After negotiating the basis of cooperation, Lu Chan will send a financial staff to supervise the funds, and the work of recruiting and opening a stall will be handed over to Gao He and Wang Xiaoling. In this new company, Lu Chan will be the behind-the-scenes boss, and the daily business affairs will be handled by Gao He and Wang Xiaoling for the time being. However, after getting on the right track, professional managers will be introduced to carry out better and more professional management of the company. After talking about business, it is natural to talk about life. Gao He asked the waiter to bring a box of beer and drank with Lu Chan bottle to bottle, recalling the good college days and the past together. Gao He regretted. It's a pity that the 4th brother is on a business trip, otherwise it would be better if he was here. The 4 of us haven't reunited for a long time. The last time Gao He and Wang Xiaoling got married, old K did not come, but sent a big red envelope to Gao He as a congratulatory gift. Now everyone has their own careers and it is not easy to reunite. Wang Xiaoling is obviously more interested in the private affairs of the big stars. Lu Chan, when are you going to get married? In response to this question, Lu Chan couldn't help but touch his nose and smile. When are you going to have children with the boss? Wang Xiaoling shyly. I asked you first. Lu Chan laughed. When you have children, then I can consider getting married. For Lu Chen's rascal, Wang Xiaoling could only roll her eyes helplessly. Gao He smirked. Wang Xiaoling couldn't help but pinch him. Stop laughing. Don't be so wishful thinking. I don't want to have children now. At least wait until we buy a house and settle down. I think that day will come soon. Lu Chun smiled and said, Come, let's have a toast. Cheers. Even Wang Xiaoling generously poured a full glass of beer and drank it all in one go after clinking glasses with Lu Chun. Sister-in-law is indeed a heroine. Lu Chun put down his glass and gave her a thumbs up. He then opened his bag and took out a stack of invitations. Tomorrow night, I will hold a fan meeting at the Zhonghua Automobile 4S flagship store. He handed the invitations to Wang Xiaoling. There are 7 invitations here. 2 of them are yours and the other 5 can be given to relatives and friends. There are gifts and lucky draws. This time Lu Chen's new album's nationwide promotional tour was held in the form of fan meetings in Zhonghua Automobile's 4S flagship stores in 7 major cities. Zhonghua Automobile gave strong support. Oh, there's a lucky draw? Wang Xiaoling's eyes suddenly lit up, and she took it with a smile. What's the grand prize? Lu Chun said. A new Zhonghua R-Class station wagon. Wang Xiaoling. Ah. She was really shocked. She didn't expect that a small fan meeting could give a grand prize of more than 100,000 yuan. Lu Chen's nationwide promotional tour of the ordinary road was fully co-organized by Zhonghua Automobile. Not only did they provide the venue, personnel and prizes, but they even paid a 7-figure marketing fee to Lu Chen's studio. It sounds like Zhonghua Automobile is simply a living Lei Feng, but they will certainly not do a losing deal. Once the R-Class station wagon endorsed by Lu Chun was launched, with its reasonable price, novel style and excellent quality, it quickly opened up the market among the young middle-class group, and its sales rose steadily. Among them, Lu Chen's commercial for Zhonghua Automobile played an indispensable role, making the brand image of this Zhonghua R-Class station wagon deeply rooted in the hearts of the people, and its market evaluation and reputation were quite good. Other automobile manufacturers saw the potential of this market, and were all ready to enter the market. At that time the competition was bound to be fierce. Therefore, under such circumstances, Zhonghua Automobile naturally attached great importance to the promotion of new models. If a new car sells well, it can easily make hundreds of millions or billions of sales, and millions of marketing expenses are just a drop in the bucket. Therefore, when Lu Chen's studio contacted Zhonghua Automobile, the two sides hit it off. Zhonghua Automobile not only agreed to all the terms of cooperation proposed by the studio, but also added a lot of content. For example, the car prize, which is also excellent publicity. Now Lu Chen's popularity and influence are much stronger than when he was shooting the commercial. The 7 fan meetings in 7 major cities were not only held in the local Zhonghua Automobile 4S flagship store, but also had a car prize. In addition, there were 3 cars for Lu Chun, Lu Chen's fan group blog and Whale to a live lottery. The value of 10 cars alone reached 1.5 million. In addition to the car prize, there are computers, mobile phones, shopping vouchers and so on. Wang Xiaoling couldn't close her mouth with a smile. My sister must be very happy. She and many of her classmates are now your loyal fans. Lu Chun said with a smile. Then remember to come on time tomorrow night. Both the guests and the host enjoyed the meal. Lu Chun had his own car to follow. He first sent Gao He and his wife home and then told the driver, Brother Zhang, take me to West Lake. I want to go to the broken bridge. When he was in college in Hangzhou, Lu Chun often went for a walk by West Lake. Although the scenery was already familiar, he still missed it today. He drank a lot of wine in the evening, so he wanted to relive the original feeling. The driver nodded. Okay. The driver, Brother Zhang, was introduced to him by Lin Jijia of Flying Stone Records, Lu Chen's new assistant. Li Feiyu no longer holds this position. He has been in charge of online publicity in the studio, managing the live broadcast room, official blog, official post bar and so on. Brother Zhang's real name is Zhang Xiaofeng. He is in his 30s. He has been in this industry for more than 10 years. He has worked with many artists, so he has a lot of experience. His professional quality is really much better than Li Feiyu's. With him around to take care of chores, Lu Chun will undoubtedly be much more relaxed. Zhang Xiaofeng drove all the way to Beishan Road and put Lu Chun down in front of the broken bridge. Chapter 413. Lu Chun likes Hangzhou very much. The reason why he likes it is not only because Hangzhou is the provincial capital of his hometown, but more importantly, he has many good memories in this city. Those memories are imprinted in his heart and can never be erased. He studied in this city, lived here, fell in love here, was lovelorn here, laughed here, and was sad here. This city is so charming. It has both the profound heritage of history and the graceful style of Jiangnan, which makes people forget to return, make people unforgettable, and make people willing to devote a lifetime to it. And West Lake is the essence of Hangzhou. The broken bridge at night has a different beauty from the daytime. The long embankment is full of people, and the street lamps emitting soft light extend along the embankment to the distance, as if a string of pearls inlaid on West Lake. Lu Chan has walked the broken bridge connecting the white embankment many times, and each time seems to have a different feeling. The evening wind blows the weeping willows, and the moist water vapor dispels the heat of the sun. On the sparkling lake, the cruise ship with lanterns hanging on it sailed by, and pairs of couples snuggled up to each other on the shore, perfectly illustrating what is called a beautiful scenery in the world. Halfway through, Lu Chan sat down on a bench by the side of the road. He stared at the lights of the distant city, and there was something called nostalgia in his heart. He remembered a song. The name of this song is Jiangnan. After sitting quietly for a moment, Lu Chan got up and went back the way he came. None of the passers-by walking on the embankment knew that he had been here tonight. Hangzhou Binjiang New Area, Zhonghua Automobile 4S flagship store. This flagship store was completed last year. As part of Zhonghua Automobile's ambitious market expansion plan in Zhejiang Province, its new 4S store is no less than the Mercedes-Benz and BMW flagship stores in the same area, both in terms of size and facilities. Today's day is a bit special. The main hall of Zhonghua Automobile's flagship store in Hangzhou has changed dramatically, and the new cars that were originally displayed have been moved back to the warehouse. It has been rearranged into a party scene, with a temporary stage, a background screen, lights, sound, and audience seats. The first stop of the nationwide promotional tour for Lu Chen's new album, The Ordinary Road, was about to be held in Hangzhou. Some fans had already rushed over at 3 p.m. For this fan meeting, Lu Chen's studio sent out a total of nearly 500 invitations to fans in the Jiangsu and Zhejiang region. Of course, they were selected through the blog lottery. The meet and greet started at 7 p.m., but by 5 p.m., the flagship store was already full of people, and the atmosphere was already very lively. Most of these fans were young people, and there were even quite a few teenage boys and girls. Many of them brought along cheering boards, fluorescent signs, and other fan support equipment. Although there were not many people due to the limitations of the venue, it fully reflected the exuberant popularity that Lu Chan currently had. The temporary backstage was set up in the flagship store's office. This time Lu Chan brought a small team with him. There were a total of 5 people, including his assistant. As for the on-site decorations, they hired a local professional company to do it. Isn't it very lively over there? Chun Feier's soft laughter came from the phone, as if there was a breath blowing in Lu Chen's ear. Lu Chen sighed and said, "If you are there, you will know." This time he came to Hangzhou to promote the new album. Chun Feier did not come with him because she had other brand endorsement activities. Chun Feier smiled and said, "I can't talk to you anymore. I'm going on stage. Say hello to Auntie for me tomorrow." After the fan meeting in Hangzhou today, Lu Chan will go home to visit his mother tomorrow. Speaking of which, he hasn't been home for a long time. The last time Gao he got married, he didn't go back because the schedule was too close. So this time he can't miss it. Lu Chan couldn't help laughing, shook his head and put down the phone. "Lu Chan, what are you doing? You can't go in here." At this time there was a fierce quarrel in the corridor outside the door. It seemed that a conflict had broken out, mixed with the screams of women and the scolding of assistant security personnel. "What's going on?" Lu Chan frowned, got up and opened the door to see what was going on. He saw that in the corridor, 2 security personnel stopped a girl holding a gift box in her hand. The latter struggled desperately to break free from the other party, and her face was red. Zhang Xiaofeng, the assistant who was guarding the door, saw Lu Chan coming out and immediately explained. She suddenly broke in. Lu Chan suddenly understood. His current popularity is increasing day by day, and the number of fans is also rising steadily. There are passers-by fans, hardcore fans, and crazy fans. Some fans are really resourceful. They can even touch the community where Lu Chun lives in Beijing, and then squat outside waiting for him to come out and ask for autographs or photos. This fan is undoubtedly one of them. He doesn't know what method she used to mix with the security personnel and accurately find his location. When the girl saw Lu Chun, she immediately screamed, Lu Chun, I love you." Perhaps it was because she was too emotional she cried out loud. Unfortunately, it couldn't move the heart of the security personnel. Lu Chun quickly said, "Let her go. Let her come over. It doesn't matter." Lu Chun's attitude towards fans has always been very lenient. Even if some fans' behavior may be excessive, he will try to be tolerant. At most, he will advise them instead of severely reprimanding them. And this girl is only 16 or 17 years old. When Lu Chun spoke, the security personnel could only let go of the girl, and the latter immediately rushed over and hugged him. Her movements are also very skilled. Lu Chun took a small step back because of her hug. He said with a smile, "Hello, what's your name?" The girl looked up and replied with a happy face, My name is Hao Lulu and I'm your fan." "Hello, Sister Hao Lulu," Lu Chun said. "The fan meeting is about to begin. Why don't you go out with me?" In fact, there is still half an hour before the start, but it doesn't matter if it's early. Hao Lulu nodded quickly and gave a gift of love at the same time. "This is my gift to you." Lu Chun took it and said, "Thank you." Nowadays, Lu Chun's studio can receive a lot of gifts from fans to Lu Chun every day. There are all kinds of things and of course there is no lack of such gifts. With this little sister Hao Lulu, Lu Chun came to the stage of the main hall. The next moment, the audience burst into enthusiastic cheers. Chapter 4:14. For any star artist, the most important thing to have is not appearance, talent, ability or anything else but fans. Fans determine the status and value of an artist to a large extent, so how to increase popularity and maintain the loyalty of fans is very important for an artist. Lu Chun hasn't been on his debut for a long time, but relying on his outstanding achievements in music and acting, the popularity and number of fans he has accumulated in just over a year is something that most artists can't catch up with. It's just that Lu Chun is very busy with his usual work. He almost never takes ordinary jobs, so naturally, there are fewer opportunities to communicate with fans. He usually uses his blog to interact with fans. This is obviously not enough. A real big shot often runs a fan group for more than 10 or even decades. In contrast, Lu Chun's foundation is still very shallow. The popularity and reputation he currently has are more like a gorgeous house built on the beach, which may collapse completely with a gust of wind and waves. In the extremely competitive entertainment industry, similar situations are not uncommon. Some artists become famous overnight and then disappear quickly. Only a few superstars can always stand at the top. Lu Chun is very clear about his weaknesses, so the promotional activities for his new album are also an important step for him to manage his fans. Lu Chun's fan group is mainly young people. Even if some fans are not sensible enough and willful enough, he will give enough tolerance and kindness. "Good evening, everyone. I'm Lu Chun." Holding Hao Lulu's hand, Lu Chun stood in the center of the stage, under the spotlight. He said with a smile, "Thank you for coming to this meeting." There were screams and cheers under the stage. Many fans clapped their cheering sticks hard, and some held up fluorescent signs with Lu Chun's name, setting off a wave of climax atmosphere at the scene. When the sound wave subsided a little, Lu Chun continued, "Everyone must be very strange in guessing who this little sister next to me is, right?" Of course he was talking about Hao Lulu. Hao Lulu's face was red. She was so excited that she couldn't speak. She felt like she was dreaming. In fact, when Lu Chun brought her on stage, many fans were very surprised and curious. Because they didn't know Hao Lulu, they didn't know why Lu Chun was holding her hand. Keeping them in suspense, Lu Chun took the initiative to reveal the mystery. "This little girl is called Hao Lulu. She accidentally got lost in there and I found her. Do any of you know her?" Someone recognized her. "Hao Lulu." Lu Chun took the opportunity to say, "That's great. Please take her back." The fans burst into laughter. Everyone understood that Hao Lulu must also be a fan of Lu Chun. She was the kind of person who dared to barge in recklessly. After sending Hao Lulu off the stage to meet up with her friends, Lu Chun had solved a small problem perfectly. He sat on the high stool that was already prepared, adjusted the wireless microphone on his head, and picked up the guitar next to the stool. Holding the guitar in his arms, Luchan bowed his head to test the sound. He stared at the fans under the stage, smiled and said, "Before I start today's performance, I'd like to tell you a little secret. It's about the guitar in my hand." The noise of the fans quickly disappeared, and everyone pricked up their ears to listen to Luchan. "This guitar was a gift from my sister on my 18th birthday. In order to buy it, my sister spent all her savings. Although I can afford a new guitar that is 10 times or even 100 times more expensive, in my heart, there is no more precious and cherished partner than it. And it has been with me through the most difficult times. Now I brought it here today. I want to use this guitar to tell everyone that you and friends like you are the most precious and cherished people in my heart. Thank you for all the support you've given me all this time." Luchan stood up again, raised his head and said loudly, "The ordinary road for you." Wow! The audience immediately burst into applause, and the accompanying music came at the same time. The MV of The Ordinary Road appeared on the screen behind Luchan. "Wandering on the road, do you want to go via? Fragile, proud? I once crossed mountains and seas, and walked through mountains and seas of people. I once had everything." This song, The Ordinary Road, opened the prelude to tonight's fan meeting. Although it was the opening promo song, Luchan still poured his emotions into singing this song again. Along the way, everything that happened yesterday seemed to be still in front of him. Sometimes Luchan couldn't tell if he was in reality or in a dream, because everything happened so quickly. He used to be confused and afraid that one day he would wake up and find that everything was a dream, and that he was still a nobody struggling at the bottom of Beijing to make a living and pay his debts. But today Luchan had found his true path. He was no longer confused or hesitant. He had his own dreams and ambitions, and he had family and lovers that he needed to protect. Even if the road ahead was bumpy, he was not afraid. "Somehow, this is the only road I have to take." In addition to the hundreds of fans at the scene, a camera set up behind the auditorium was only focused on Luchan, recording his image and then transmitting it to the live broadcast room of Wuxia through the internet, appearing on the computer and mobile phone screens of millions of fans. Only a very small number of lucky fans received the invitation and came to the scene. Most fans could only participate in this music event in this way, and listen to Luchan's singing. Whale TV was also the partner of Luchan's new album promotion plan. For this and the live broadcast of the fan meeting in 6 major cities, Whale TV officially put a large advertisement on the homepage in advance. Therefore, as soon as the live broadcast began, the number of online viewers easily broke the million mark and quickly moved towards a higher peak. Li Feiyu was in charge of the live broadcast in Beijing, so the atmosphere in the live broadcast room was always in a state of excitement. So don't look at the small scale of this fan meeting. It's not even as big as an announcement or endorsement event. But in fact, the number of fans who really support Luchan is very large. Chapter 4:15. With the song The Ordinary Road as the opening, Luchan set off a new wave at the fan meeting. When Luchan finished singing the song and put down the guitar in his arms, 2 girls in short skirts ran to the stage with cheerful steps and gave him 2 bouquets of beautiful flowers amidst the warm applause and cheers. "Thank you." Luchan smiled and took the flowers from the fan representatives. What he didn't expect was that one of the taller girls suddenly hugged him, tiptoed, and kissed him on the cheek at lightning speed. After the sneak attack, the beautiful female fan turned around and triumphantly made a victory gesture. "Hey!" The cheers of the audience instantly turned into good-natured boos and laughter. Luchan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although it was an accident, it didn't matter. Instead, it made the atmosphere of the scene more relaxed and pleasant. Then Luchan sang another song, Free as the Wind. This song is not only a work from his new album, The Ordinary Road, but also chosen by Zhonghua Automobile as the promotional song for the new station wagon. Naturally, it should be sung in front. Of course, the most important thing about the fan meeting is not how many songs are sung, but the interaction with fans. "Today this stage is mine and it belongs to you." So next Luchan said, "I want to invite a fan friend to the stage. I will accompany her with the guitar, and let her sing a song for everyone. What do you think?" "Good." Of course, the fans said yes loudly, and the cheering sticks were banging loudly. So, which friend who can sing is willing to come to the stage? Lu Chen's eyes searched the audience. He said with a smile, if a friend is willing to sing bravely, I will fulfill her little wish here. Brush. One by one their arms were raised high, and the fans were very excited. They couldn't wait to rush directly to the stage. Hundreds of fans, whether they can sing or not, basically raised their hands. Lu Chen said with a smile, so many people? That's really hard to do. Let the computer choose. It's the fairest way. As soon as his voice fell, the image on the big screen behind him immediately changed at an astonishing speed, constantly switching the images of the fans in the stadium, dazzling the audience. This was a computer-controlled randomization program for live images. It was most suitable for live lucky draws or selection. Who could it be? Lu Chen whetted everyone's appetite a little, then decisively said, "Stop." The screen instantly froze. A girl in a green dress with an apple face and big round eyes was picked out by the computer program, and the cameras immediately locked onto her. There were sounds of surprise and pity in the audience. The woman in the green dress who was chosen was very surprised at first, and then she shyly covered her face, probably feeling very embarrassed. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Would you like to invite this friend to come on stage and sing? Everyone give him a round of applause." Amidst the loud applause, the girl in the green dress walked onto the stage and shyly stood beside Lu Chen. The staff brought her a microphone. Lu Chen asked, "Can you tell us your name?" The girl in the green dress nodded, raised the microphone and said, "Hello everyone. My name is Wuxia." There was another round of applause. Lu Chen asked again, "Then Miss Wuxia, which song do you want to sing?" Wuxia hesitated and asked, "I want to sing the song Meeting. Can I?" Meeting. Lu Chen was more or less a little surprised, then immediately smiled and said, "No problem, then this meeting will be." The song Meeting was Lu Chen's work, but it was written for Chen Fei. It had been officially released in the latter's album Woman Flower, and was at the top of the original music chart. This song was most suitable for piano accompaniment, but there was no piano on the scene, so Lu Chen simply replaced it with a guitar. The effect of the performance was secondary, the interaction with the fans was the main thing. What surprised him was that Wuxia sang quite well. Hearing the departure of winter, I woke up in a certain month of a certain year. I look forward to, but the future. Her voice was not as beautiful as Chen Fei's, but the tone of this song was very accurate, and the breath and emotion were very in place, with a slightly sad and melancholy style. Under the accompaniment of the guitar, she actually sang a bit of a folk song which was an alternative interpretation. Tian. After Wuxia finished singing, Lu Chen was the first to applaud with the guitar. Great. The fans applauded even more enthusiastically. Wuxia was happy and shy at the same time. She bowed and said, "Thank you." Lu Chen nodded and said very seriously, "I think you sang better than the original singer, but you should keep this matter to yourself. Remember not to tell anyone else." Wuxia pursed her lips and smiled, and Lu Chen's voice was clearly transmitted to the ears of everyone on the scene through the wireless microphone. When the fans heard it, they all laughed. The original singer of Meet was Chen Fei. Lu Chen added, "You guys can't say it either." Everyone was overjoyed, and the hall of the flagship store echoed with laughter. This kind of happy atmosphere also infected the millions of fans in the live broadcast room, and for a moment the bullet screen was like rain. He actually sang better than Chen Fei. Ha ha ha. I don't know what Fei will think when he hears it. I think Chen will kneel on the washboard when he goes back. Who would kneel on the washboard now? If he wants to kneel, he can only kneel on the motherboard. The one in front is too ruthless. Too ruthless plus one. After everyone laughed, Lu Chen waved his hand and said, "Let's stop joking. Then Miss Wuxia, do you have any wishes that you want to fulfill? Of course the premise is that it's reasonable and I can do it." Wuxia pursed her lips and said, "My sister is also a fan of yours. Unfortunately, she didn't get an invitation. She really wants a signed album from you. Is that okay?" Lu Chen smiled and said, "Of course there's no problem. I'll give you 2 limited edition albums." He motioned to the staff on the sidelines, who quickly sent 2 limited edition albums. Coming to Hangzhou for publicity, Lu Chan certainly prepared gifts for his fans. This limited edition album was one of them. In addition to the signed CD, there were commemorative USB drives, exquisite figurines, keyrings, and so on. At present, it has been booked out on the crowdfunding website. Yu Sharaway was overjoyed. This undoubtedly made her, who had received 2 limited edition albums, the object of everyone's envy. This also made fans look forward to the interactive session that would follow. They wanted it too. Chapter 416. The second person chosen to go on stage was a male fan. The fan named Li Lu was in his 20s. He was thin and had an ordinary appearance. He was the type that wouldn't stand out in a crowd. His mannerisms were gentle, but the song he chose was Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart, and he sang it very well. Running forward, facing the cold eyes and ridicule. How can you feel the vastness of life without going through hardships? Fate can't make us kneel and beg for mercy, even if our arms are covered with blood. At the climax of the chorus, this ordinary-looking man's singing was heart-wrenching. His voice was high and full of passion. It made people's blood boil. Among all of Lu Chen's works, Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart was undoubtedly a very unique song. This song wasn't too popular in the general public. It was only popular for a period of time when it first came out. Because its chorus was too high, it was difficult to cover it. If it was down-tuned, it wouldn't be able to sing the deep feeling at all. Naturally, it wouldn't become a popular work in KTV. However, on the internet, Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart had always been the favorite of hot-blooded youths. Many professional and non-professional people accompanied it with animations or videos, making it extremely popular. Those who could sing Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart and sing it well were all talented people. Li Li's performance of this song might not be professional enough, but his attitude and feelings were completely fine. It deeply affected everyone present. So when he finished singing this song, the audience burst into thunderous applause. Many fans even stood up and cheered for him. Good singing. Lu Chen put down his guitar and gave this fan a strong hug to express his admiration. Patting Li Li's shoulder, Lu Chen turned around to face the fans and sincerely explained, "I'm here to solemnly declare that Yu Sharaway and Li Li's friend were randomly selected by the computer. They really weren't hired by me. They really weren't." Yu Sharaway's encounter was very good. And Li Li's Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart was equally good. The 2 fans who were chosen to go on stage had wonderful performances, which surprised even Lu Chen himself. But this wasn't arranged in advance. Both Yu Sharaway and Li Lu were his true fans. He then asked Li Lu, "Tell me, are you the one I hired? If not, why did he sing Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart so well?" Li Lu was dumbfounded and didn't know how to answer. Seeing his expression, everyone immediately burst into laughter, and someone shouted loudly, "We believe you." Lu Chen quickly cupped his fists. "Thank you. Thank you for believing in me." The laughter grew louder. Lu Chen smiled and said, "I won't joke around anymore." "Then, my friend Li Lu, what wish do you want to fulfill?" he asked Li Lu. Li Lu hesitated for a moment before he replied in embarrassment. "Lu Chen, I've seen your videos on the internet, and I feel that you're very skilled. So can you show me your skills here?" This request was a little special. However, it was normal for boys to like fighting. Li Lu was thin and small, so it was easier for him to dream of being a hero. And among the fans at the scene, there were also people who wanted to see the world in chaos, so they immediately cheered loudly. When Lu Chen was filming Full House of Romance in Jeju Island, the video of him fighting 6 Japanese bodyguards for the crew was widely spread on the internet, and even had more than 1 million views on video websites in the United States. Li Lu was talking about this video. As a otaku who liked music and games, he had watched this video dozens of times. So this time he was lucky to attend Lu Chen's fan meeting, and he was lucky enough to be on stage. Li Lu wanted to see Lu Chen show his skills in person to satisfy his little wish. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "I can show you, but I need your cooperation, and it's a little dangerous. Are you afraid?" Hearing Lu Chen's answer, Li Li's eyes suddenly lit up, and he immediately shook his head and said, "I'm not afraid." Lu Chen smiled and said, "That's good." He called the staff on the scene and said, "Please bring me a drink, Coke will do." There was a vending machine in the flagship store, and a can of Coke was only 3 yuan. Everyone didn't know what Lu Chun was selling, and everyone's curiosity was aroused. The Coke was quickly sent over. Lu Chun weighed it and said to Li Lu, "It's not too late for you to regret it now." The audience was silent. Li Lu clearly felt the change in the atmosphere. He seemed a little nervous, but he shook his head to show that he didn't give up. "That's good." Lu Chun put the Coke in his hand and said, "You stand here and don't move. Put this Coke on your head, understand?" Li Lu swallowed his saliva and carefully put the Coke on his head. Lu Chun took 2 steps back, looked at him with a sharp gaze and asked, "You really don't regret it?" It would have been better if Lu Chun didn't ask, but Li Lu became even more nervous. He should have understood a little, and his body was trembling slightly, but at this moment it was hard to get off. He braced himself and replied, "I don't regret it." "That's good." Before Lu Chen's voice fell, his left foot suddenly took a step forward, and his right leg lifted up. He twisted his body and kicked at Li Li's head with lightning speed. Li Lu was shocked. He didn't have time to dodge, and his mind was completely blank. Bang! There was only a muffled sound, and the Coke that was originally placed on top of Li Li's head was kicked by Lu Chun in the air. Countless water droplets and foam splashed everywhere, and under the illumination of the lights, it reflected thousands of crystal lights. The speed of Lu Chen's leg was too fast. This side kick was very beautiful and very accurate. It did not hurt Li Lu at all. It was completed in the blink of an eye. Wow! There was a cry of surprise from the audience. In fact, most people did not completely see the whole process, but Lu Chen's strong skills had been vividly displayed in this flying kick, especially the scene where he kicked the Coke can, which really made people gasp in amazement. Some of the fans present were not only chasing Lu Chun, but also participated in other artists' fan meetings, but they have never seen such a wonderful performance. Many people were shocked. In the Whale TV live broadcast room, the number of barrage brushed out in an instant reached a terrifying level. Who can tell me what happened just now? I didn't see it clearly either. Replay, quickly replay it. Lu Chun Big is too powerful, the flying kick is too cool. Real Kung Fu, instant kill Taekwondo. I want to worship Lu Chun Big as my master, and learn this kick is enough. Poor Coke can. Accompanied by a barrage and rain-like gifts, all kinds of props including aircraft carriers were brushed out. If the previous video of Lu Chun defeating the Japanese bodyguard gave people a more or less unreal feeling, then now he showed his skills in front of hundreds of people at the scene and millions of fans on the internet, which was undoubtedly the best proof of his strength. And it was extremely cool and handsome. In the exclamations and screams of the audience, Li Lu, as the person involved, finally woke up. He couldn't help but touch his head, and found no missing parts or bleeding head. Only then did he breathe a big sigh of relief. This was too exciting. No wonder Lu Chun repeatedly asked him if he wanted to regret it. If he was asked to do it again, he really might not dare to agree without thinking. Lu Chun asked the staff to bring over a limited edition album set and a few pieces of tissue paper, and sent them to Li Lu. Just now, there were Coke drops and foam splashed on the latter's body. "Thank you for your cooperation." Lu Chun smiled and gave Li Lu a thumbs up. "Good job." Li Lu scratched his head embarrassedly and left the stage with the gift that Lu Chun gave him. Although he didn't fully understand just now, he could go back and watch the replay of the live video. As one of the protagonists, Li Lu was honored. On the stage, Lu Chun took a long breath and said, "It's really not easy to satisfy everyone's wishes, so let's pick the last friend to go on stage." According to the program arrangement, the interactive segment needed to choose 3 fans to go on stage, then Lu Chun would sing 2 more songs, and finally the grand prize for tonight would be drawn. So who would be the last lucky person? Everyone's eyes were focused on the big screen in the background, where the picture was changing rapidly. "Stop." After waiting for about 10 seconds, Lu Chun decisively stopped. The picture froze instantly. The live camera's lens was locked on the corner of the auditorium, where a woman in a long dress was sitting in a very inconspicuous position. Her skin was as white as snow, her hair was draped over her shoulders, and her pretty face was mostly covered by a pair of big fashionable glasses. When her image appeared on the big screen, the woman in the long dress took off her glasses and showed a charming smile to the camera. The next moment, the audience was shocked, and the fans were going crazy. "Chun Fei-er, Countless people shouted her name at the same time. It turned out to be Chen Fei, who secretly hid in the corner to watch Lu Chen's performance. This was definitely the biggest accident and surprise tonight. Lu Chen was also surprised, but soon he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Revenge. This was definitely a naked revenge, because last time when Chen Fei promoted her new album in the Huhai Mecha Culture and Arts Center, Lu Chen also sat in the audience and played a low-key fan, giving her a big surprise. Now Chen Fei repeated the same trick. When she talked to him on the phone before the fan meeting, she said that she was doing endorsement activities in the capital, but in fact she had already sneaked to Hangzhou and colluded with the staff to make a sneak attack. If it wasn't revenge, what was it? However, this kind of revenge was so warm and sweet. Chapter 417. The Hangzhou Zhonghua 4S flagship store was boiling. Lu Chen's live broadcast room on WeLTV was also boiling. Chen Fei's appearance undoubtedly became the biggest highlight of Lu Chen's new album promotion fan meeting tonight. The surprise came so fast that it caught people off guard. Chen Fei, it's really Chen Fei. Strange, I don't feel surprised at all. Not surprised +1. I remember the last time my Fei's birthday, my Chen seemed to be playing a fan in the audience. Well, it's like this. My Chen and my Fei really know how to play. Haha, there must be a love song duet. For a fan, the happiest thing is to see their idol with their own eyes, and what's even happier than that is to see two idols. The fans sitting in the flagship store tonight are undoubtedly happy. Not only did they feel the strength and charm of Lu Chen on the scene, but also a heavenly queen of the singing industry. In the shouts of the audience, Chen Fei walked to the stage and took the microphone from the staff. She hugged Lu Chen first, causing the cheers of the audience to rise one after another. Lu Chen said with a smile, "You lied to me so hard." This common line in the 8 o'clock melodrama made many fans overjoyed. Chen Fei chuckled and said, "This is called giving someone a taste of their own medicine. I always remember it." The two looked at each other as if there was no one else in the whole world. This dog food was sprinkled. Whether it was at the scene or in the live broadcast room, the single dogs all felt a deep malice. It was simply unbearable to watch. Fortunately, Chen Fei still fully considered their feelings. She turned around and said to the audience, "Tonight I am also a fan of Lu Chen. What do you think about my singing his song?" "Your eyes. The most romantic thing." The audience responded like a tide, and the fans shouted the names of their favorite songs at the same time. Chen Fei listened quietly for a moment before he smiled and said, "How about this? I'll sing a song with Lu Chen. How about that?" "All right." Of course, the fans cheered loudly. Chen Fei turned around and said to Lu Chen, "Then let's sing Because of Love." Lu Chen nodded. He had sung this song Because of Love once when he did a radio program, but this song was a duet between a man and a woman. The two had never sung it in public. Today was the first time. The accompaniment was still the guitar in Lu Chen's hands. He gently plucked the strings and played the prelude. Facing the person he loved the most, the song seemed to flow from the bottom of his heart. "I'll give you a CD of the past. Listen to our love at that time. Sometimes I suddenly forget that I still love you." Tonight, Chen Fei was very beautiful. As usual, she did not wear heavy makeup. The light makeup looked more elegant under the light, and the plain white dress set off her figure extremely perfectly. She looked at Lu Chen with deep affection in her star-like eyes. "I can't sing a song like that anymore. Every time I hear it I blush and avoid it, although I often forget that I still love you." Although this song has not been officially recorded as a single, and Chen Fei has only sung it with Lu Chen a few times after getting the score, but standing on this stage for hundreds of people at the scene and millions of fans on the internet, the two people's interpretation of the work seems to have gone through thousands of times of practice, and there is a natural tacit understanding and agreement. It was the kind of tacit understanding that belonged to a real couple. The guitar accompaniment was almost non-existent. The deep warmth of Lu Chen and the ethereal grace of Chen Fei, the two different voices blended together, echoing and setting off each other. What the audience heard was the purest sound of music that was close to the essence. The hall was silent. Many fans even held their breath, for fear that the slightest noise would affect the atmosphere of the scene. They stared unblinkingly at Lu Chen and Chen Fei on the stage. It was like a pilgrimage. Words were the voice of the heart, And songs were the song. A real classic did not need too many gorgeous decorations. What could really touch people's hearts were the sincere, warm, deep and restrained feelings. I still love you. After the last chorus, the audience was silent. Lu Chun and Chun Fei looked at each other and smiled. Everything was said without words. After only a moment, the applause suddenly exploded. The audience all stood up. They clapped hard, shouted loudly, and shouted the names of Lu Chun and Chun Fei. The sound waves set off shattered the glass around the hall. The atmosphere of the scene reached its peak at this moment. At this moment, the number of online viewers in Lu Chen's live broadcast room on Whale TV had exceeded 3 million, setting a new record for Whale TV. It was believed that the Whale TV officials were already smiling crookedly at this time. The publicity effect brought by the live broadcast of Lu Chun and Chun Fei was enough to cover millions of marketing expenses. The gifts from the aircraft carriers covered the entire screen. Due to the large number of people sending messages and gifts, the server of Whale TV was overwhelmed, and there was a temporary lagging phenomenon. This also faithfully reflected the current popularity of Lu Chun and Chun Fei. After a long time, the hall finally quieted down. No one knew who shouted in the crowd. It's time to make a wish. Everyone suddenly laughed. After the first two selected fans sang on stage, they both made a small wish to Lu Chun. Both of their wishes came true. Now it was Chun Fei, which was very interesting. Make a wish. Make a wish. Make a wish. Many fans who wanted the world to be in chaos immediately shouted, quickly forming a huge sound wave. Chun Fei smiled and said, "Since everyone is so enthusiastic, then I will ask Lu Chun for a small wish. What do you think I should ask him to do?" The fans immediately came up with ideas. Some shouted, "Kiss him." Some shouted, "Propose." Few of them were reliable. Of course, Chun Fei couldn't really listen to their nonsense. She thought for a moment and said, "I think. I hope." The heavenly queen of the music industry was keeping everyone in suspense at this time, which made people very anxious. As if thinking very seriously for a moment, she said to Lu Chun, "I'll let you sing a song." Alas! The whole audience sighed in disappointment. It's not interesting. Chun Fei smiled and added, "But it must be a new song that no one has heard before." New song? That's more like it. Chapter 418. If it were any other singer or artist, unless they had prepared in advance, Chun Fei's request would definitely make things difficult for them, or even make it impossible for them to step down. Writing a song was actually very easy. As long as you learned the basic skills, you could put together a song. But writing a song was very difficult. The birth of a good song not only needed a burst of inspiration, but also daily accumulation and learning, and a little bit of luck. How could it be taken out at any time? But Lu Chun is different. His talent and ability in creation are well known both inside and outside the circle. Wonderful or classic works are constantly being produced in his hands, which makes people really convinced. Tian. The author of this article is a Chinese novel. Even so, being able to hear his new work here tonight, and become the first listener of a new song was also something worth being happy and joyful for the fans on the scene. Facing Chun Fei's wish and the expectations of his fans, Lu Chun asked with a smile, "Can I say no?" Chun Fei shook his head and looked very determined. "No." Lu Chun surrendered. "Okay." Chun Fei smiled happily. "Great." The two people echoed each other on the stage, and the audience under the stage laughed. Lu Chun took a deep breath and said, "Before I sing this new song, I want to say a few words." The scene quickly quieted down. Even Chun Fei stepped aside and gave the stage to Lu Chun. Lu Chun continued, "For me, Hangzhou is a very special place. I finished college here and spent a very good time in my life. The people here and the scenery here are all worthy of nostalgia." Many of the fans present were Hangzhou locals, or studied or lived in Hangzhou. The feelings and affection that Lu Chun had for Hangzhou made them feel very proud. In fact, I'm also half a Hangzhou native, so I've put the first fan meeting for my new album's promotional tour here. Although my current job and new home are in Beijing, when I'm old and can't sing anymore, I'll choose to retire here. Applause rang out unexpectedly, a sign of recognition for Lu Chun. Lu Chun finally said, "The name of this song is Jiangnan. It's for you and for the beautiful Hangzhou." Jiangnan. Speaking of Jiangnan, who didn't know Hangzhou and Westlake? This made the audience look forward to Lu Chen's new song and new work even more. Lu Chen continued to accompany the new song with the guitar. The wind was sticky here, stuck to the passers-by's thoughts. Here the rain twined into a thread, pestering us to stay in this world. Having you by my side is fate. Fate was written on the stone of 3 lives. Love is a millionth sweet. I would rather be buried on this day. Circle, 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 circle. Every day, every day. Look deep into your face, the tenderness of anger. A gentle, complaining face. Oh! Jiangnan was the most beautiful place, with lakes and mountains, misty rain, green bricks and white tiles, willows. At that time a young man wearing thin spring clothes, riding a horse on a slanted bridge. A young girl looking back and smiling, endless romantic stories. What this song Jiangnan sang was the dream that lingered in the hearts of countless talented scholars and beautiful women. Its melody was beautiful and moving, and it also had the shock of a sudden peak. Every word easily evoked people's yearning and nostalgia for this beautiful land, as well as the longing for the love story that had been passed down through the ages. Lu Chen's interpretation of Jiangnan reflected his powerful singing skills and brilliant skills, but the feelings integrated into the singing were so real and infectious. Although it was a brand new piece, it still brought the listener into that special atmosphere. We who don't understand the torment of love and hate think that love is like the fickle wind and clouds. Believe that one day of love is equal to forever. At this moment time freezes. We who don't know how to show gentleness think that dying for love is just an ancient rumor. The sorrow of separation can be as painful as it can be when the dream is buried in the misty rain of Jiangnan. Only when the heart is broken will you understand. Oh! In essence, Jiangnan was a love song, singing about the unchanging love that had existed for thousands of years. However, its melody and style were destined to not be an ordinary love song. Perhaps people who listened to this work for the first time didn't know, but in the future they would definitely know a word about music. This word was China style. The hundreds of audience members at the scene didn't speak or get distracted. They were already intoxicated by Lu Chen's singing, as if they were in the drizzle unique to Jiangnan. And in front of them was an ink painting. At this moment it was enough to enjoy the music, until Lu Chen finished singing. Thank you. He held his guitar and bowed to express his gratitude, and all the fans in the audience stood up and applauded. They were also grateful to Lu Chen for giving everyone a good song, a really good song. The applause lasted for a few minutes. Lu Chen asked Chen Feier, "Do you like it?" Chen Feier's eyes were bright, and she nodded vigorously. She really liked this song. "And the person who sang this song," Lu Chen said with a smile. "If you like it, can you help me do one more thing?" Chen Feier was curious. "What is it?" Lu Chen said, "It's very simple. Help me draw tonight's grand prize." Only then did the fans remember that there was a lucky draw at tonight's meeting, and the contents of the grand prize had been announced. It was a new Chinese station wagon worth more than 100,000 yuan. Thinking of the attractive grand prize, everyone couldn't help but get excited. Lucky draw. The crowd's voice was so enthusiastic that Chen Feier couldn't find a reason to refuse. The staff sent the prepared lucky draw box to the stage. All the fans who participated in tonight's meeting had an invitation letter. The corner of the invitation letter was cut off when they entered the venue. The corresponding number was printed on it, and then they were all placed in this box to draw the prize. In addition to the grand prize, there were also first, second, and third prizes. The prizes included computers, mobile phones, limited edition albums, etc., mainly provided by China Automobile. Together, Lu Chen and Chen Feier first drew 23rd prize winners, followed by 10 second prize winners. The fans whose number was called were happy and disappointed, because they were lucky to be drawn, but it also meant that they had no chance of winning the grand prize. The automobile grand prize was the last to be drawn, and the winner was a teenage girl. She was so happy on the spot, laughing and crying. She was so excited that she didn't know what to do. The atmosphere at the scene also reached a new climax at this time. The first stop of Lu Chen's fan meeting to promote his new album in Hangzhou was undoubtedly a perfect success. Note: Jiangnan lyrics. Li Ruixuan, Chan Shaoqi/composer, Lin Junjie. Chapter 419. After the end of the promotional event in Hangzhou, Lu Chen's team rushed to the second stop, Shanghai City. Lu Chan himself returned to his home in Binhai with Chanfa. His current career is booming and his work is getting busier and busier. His mother is unwilling to retire early and live in Beijing, so except for the Chinese New Year, it is difficult to see her. Lu Chan is a filial child, so he planned to go home to see his mother, while taking advantage of this publicity trip to Hangzhou. Now he is with his girlfriend, so he can also make his mother and sister happy and enjoy the warmth of family. However, because the itinerary was arranged, Lu Chan and Chen Fei only stayed in Binhai for one day. Then Chen Fei returned directly to Beijing from Binhai, while Lu Chan went south to meet the team in the deep sea. As a celebrity couple, it is normal for them to separate. Without any accident, the news of Lu Chen's fan meeting in Hangzhou appeared in the entertainment section of major media. Although it didn't grab the headlines, it was introduced in a lot of space. Naturally, the appearance of Chen Fei as a surprise guest, and the number of viewers of the online live broadcast of the fan meeting broke a record, which inevitably poured a spoonful of hot oil on the already quite popular online live broadcast industry. So, although it was nominally the promotion of Lu Chen's new album, in fact the two sponsors, China Motors and Whale TV, were the real winners, especially Whale TV. With this record-breaking live broadcast, they have fiercely brushed up a wave of popularity, and have a great tendency to return to the peak. If you ask what changes Lu Chen's appearance has brought to the pan-entertainment industry, first of all, he has brought a new trend of pop music with his unparalleled creative talent. Big boosted the morale of domestic original works, and at the same time, it has also increased the treatment of original music songwriters. In fact, the two TV series created and starring by Lu Chan have become popular both at home and abroad, creating a new model for domestic TV series, making the industry begin to seriously reflect on the bad atmosphere of imitation and plagiarism in the past. It is inevitable that there will be film and television entertainment companies, with the successful influence of Autumn in My Heart, and Full of Romance, will seriously produce sincere works. There was also a live streaming platform. People inside and outside the circle know that although Lu Chan officially made his debut through Singing China, his popularity accumulation and expansion largely relied on the platform of Whale TV. Moreover, after he became successful and famous, he did not leave Whale TV behind, but became more and more popular. According to information leaked from within Whale TV intends to re-sign an endorsement contract with Lu Chan. The endorsement fee will reach 8 figures, and Lu Chan will earn hundreds of thousands of yuan from the platform every month. One must know that the current Lu Chan did not have many hours of live broadcast time on Whale TV. The income from the endorsement fee and the share of the gifts was enough to make those second and third-tier star artists extremely jealous. It was precisely because of his success precedent that more and more star artists appeared on major online platforms. Of course, the big stars who were not short of money and popularity were dismissive of this, but they could not resist the artists who were struggling to find a breakthrough in the entertainment industry, especially young singers. On the other hand, with many star artists frequently opening live shows on the internet, they have attracted a large number of fans and audiences to support them, which has led to the development of the entire industry. Some people in the online live broadcast industry once joked that everyone should pool money to give Lu Chan a big medal. Without his success, the value and popularity of the industry would not have risen so fast. But apart from these superficial or deep influences and changes, some people are more concerned about Lu Chen's talent in music creation. On the night that Lu Chan went to the deep sea, the well-known blogger and music critic, Donghu Lu's cultivator, of the Waves blog made a profound comment on the song Jiangnan that he sang at the Hangzhou fan meeting. The song Jiangnan is very different from Lu Chen's previous works. The author believes that this is a breakthrough attempt by him, as an outstanding singer-songwriter, to seek novelty and change in original pop music. For the author, this work is simply a great surprise. It can be said to be one of Lu Chen's best works this year. He has unearthed a lot of our local traditions and integrated them into his own music, thus forming a distinct and unique style. Although the author has only heard a simplified version without arrangement and accompaniment, imagine if it is matched with traditional folk music to carry the theme of the work. The charm of this song will increase exponentially. It is very worth looking forward to. The author dares to assert that when the completed version of Jiangnan comes out, Lu Chen's position in the pop music world will reach a new height, and if his future works can continue this style, It will be enough to lead a new trend again. The blog post of Donghu Lu's cultivator praising Lu Chen did not cause much response on the blog, because there were many articles commenting on Lu Chen's works on the blog, and it was not the first time that Donghu Lu's cultivator had commented on Lu Chen's original songs. However, in the pop music world, some people were still keenly aware of a certain smell. The future is always unpredictable. Whether a butterfly can set off a storm with a flap of its wings remains to be seen and proven by time. The second stop of Lu Chen's new album promotion was in the Deep Sea, the third stop was in Tianfu, and the fourth stop was in Shacheng. He led his team around a big circle in China, traveled thousands of kilometers, traveled to 7 major cities in a row, and finally returned to Beijing on the eve of the official release of the album. At this time, the crowdfunding goal of Lu Chen's new album, The Ordinary Road, on the online crowdfunding website has been achieved, and several of the projects have exceeded 1,000%. In addition to the number of records ordered by Xinhua Publishing House, the new album has locked in sales of millions. Because the sales were too hot, the official release date was also delayed by a few days. On September 1st, Lu Chen's new album, The Ordinary Road, was fully launched for sale. On that day, the digital record sales on QQ Music exceeded 200,000. There is no doubt about the success of this new record, and people are looking forward to what heights it can reach in the end. It is worth mentioning that the cumulative sales of Chen Feier's album Woman Flower, produced by Lu Chen, has exceeded 4 million, easily winning the achievement of 4 Diamond, and is not far from the 5 million crown. If Lu Chen's album can also reach the achievement of crown, it will undoubtedly create a story in the pop music world and make countless people talk about it with relish. On September 22nd, Chen Feier's Feitong Fanxiang solo concert was held in the Beijing Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium. Chapter 420. The Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium in Beijing was built in 1994 and completed in 1999. As the main venue of the Beijing Olympic Games in 2000, it was the largest in the world at that time. More than a decade later, this magnificent stadium is still among the world's first class. A lot of equipment was replaced during the renovation and maintenance in 2013, and the internal facilities are still not outdated. Generally speaking, those who can hold a solo concert in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium are either world-class stars or domestic big shots. There is a popular saying in the pop music industry: if you have the ability, go to the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium to sing. On September 22nd, Chen Feier's Feitong Fanxiang solo concert was held in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium. This was not the first time she sang in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium, but from the Queen of Sweet Songs to the Queen of Love Songs, this concert, which was nearly a year late, was very important to her. In fact, the preparatory work began a few months ago. The top performance company in Beijing was hired, and they took the shortcut to get the approval permit to perform in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium. As a place that had once attracted the attention of the world, the Olympic Five Ring Stadium usually did not receive many performances. There were strict requirements in all aspects. The first rule for celebrities who were qualified to stand on the stage inside was that they could not have any obvious misdeeds. For example, people who cheated, drove drunk, took drugs, or visited prostitutes, they should get as far away from them as possible. Therefore, although the entertainment industry was noisy and chaotic, the real top stars often paid great attention to their personal image. Most of them could keep themselves clean. Otherwise, there would be many places that closed the door to them. The Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium could accommodate a total of 120,000 spectators, but because of the overall layout, no more than 100,000 tickets could be sold. But this was already a very amazing figure. According to the lowest price of 128 yuan, 100,000 tickets would be 12.8 million. Of course, it was difficult to sell all 100,000 tickets. It would be very successful if more than 70% of the seats were occupied. Only a very small number of the top stars would be able to have the grand occasion of a full house. Imagine standing on a brightly lit stage with 100,000 spectators cheering for you. The flashing screens were as dazzling as the stars in the night sky. How dazzling would that be? For a singer, this was probably the highest goal in life. Tickets for Chen Feier's Feitong Fanxiang solo concert began to be pre-sold more than a month ago. With a certain number of complimentary tickets, it could reach about 80% of the seats, which meant that 80,000 spectators would be present. Although there was still a gap from the domestic record of more than 100,000 audience/single concert, it was enough to make 99% of singers feel inferior and envious. The concert officially started at 7 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, most of the seats were already occupied. It was not easy to hold a sing-along at the Olympic Stadium. The security issue alone involved many aspects. It was not something that could be settled with money. Connections and resources were indispensable. To put it bluntly, Chen Feier had the ability and qualifications to sing in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium. If it were Lu Chen, he would also have the ability, but he was still a little less qualified. Of course, Lu Chen would appear on the stage that everyone was watching tonight. As a special guest, it was normal for stars to invite friends in the circle to support them when they held a concert. The identity of the guest was often very mysterious. It was strictly kept secret before the appearance as a highlight of the publicity, and then it would surprise the audience. However, for the first concert of Chen Feier's solo concert in Beijing, the guest was confirmed to be Lu Chen. It was only kept secret for the subsequent concerts in Shanghai, Shanghai, and Chongqing. Therefore, fans knew in advance, which was one of the reasons why the concert tickets sold so well. The number of Lu Chen's fans was not much smaller than that of Chen Feier. Although there was a big overlap, it was still able to attract some of Chen Feier's fans. At this moment, the stadium was already bustling with people. Countless light sticks in the audience seats were like stars in the sky. Fluorescent screens with Chen Feier's name were held high, as if they could summon Chen Feier in advance. In the backstage dressing room, Chen Feier, who had finished dressing, was sitting on the sofa with Lu Chen. The first costume of the Heavenly Queen of Singing was a gorgeous long dress. She rarely put on makeup, which gave her a different kind of sexy beauty, but her little hands were a little cold. "What's wrong?" Lu Chen held her hand and asked with concern. "Are you nervous?" Chen Feier shook her head, then nodded and said, "A little bit. I'm afraid I'll make a mistake." For a Heavenly Queen of Singing who had made her debut for more than 10 years and held many concerts, she shouldn't have such emotions. But the significance of today's concert was particularly different for Chen Feier. In the past, Chen Feier was the famous queen of sweet songs, but now she had transformed into the queen of love songs. Despite the fact that Woman Flower had sold more than 4 million copies, this concert was still one of the most important milestones in her singing career. If she screwed up, it would be an unforgivable mistake for Chen Feier. She had been preparing for this concert for a whole year. So Chen Feier was nervous. Lu Chen understood. He thought for a moment, got up and went out to get a guitar. "It's still early. I'll sing a song for you." Chen Feier smiled and said, "Actually, you don't have to do this. I can control myself." "Well, you can sing." She felt the sweetness from the heart. Because of Lu Chen's gentleness and consideration, Lu Chen sat down next to Chen Feier with the guitar in his arms. After testing the sound, he plucked the strings. He sang the song, "When you're old. When you're old, your hair is white, and you're drowsy. When you're old and you can't walk anymore and you take a nap by the fire and you remember your youth. How many loved you in your youth, how many admired your beauty, whether they were sincere or fake, but only one person still loves your pious soul." Chen Feier listened quietly, feeling the emotions contained in the lyrics. Unconsciously, the anxiety in her heart disappeared without a trace, and something warm filled her heart. She couldn't help leaning her head gently on Lu Chen's shoulder, smelling the familiar smell. She wanted time to stop at this moment forever, and never go forward again. Until the door of the room was knocked. The assistant opened the door and poked his head in. "Sister Feier, it's almost time to go on stage." Chen Feier stood up. She seemed to have been reborn. Her face was glowing, and there was no longer any fear in her bright eyes. She was full of confidence. This was the real Chen Feier. Chapter 421. In the drizzling rain, an intercity express train painted in blue and white sped along the straight railway track. On both sides of the track were high-rise buildings half hidden in the rain and mist, highlighting the prosperity and greatness of Shanghai, the most economically developed city in South China. In the A1 business seat of the number 2 carriage, Lu Chen was holding a copy of Entertainment Express and reading it attentively. The Entertainment Express was the largest business daily newspaper in China. Today, with the internet industry as its main reporting material, the survival of this newspaper, which mainly reported on the pan-entertainment industry, relied on accurate and in-depth reports, timely and explosive content, and unique observation of news angles. The protagonist of today's headline of the Entertainment Express was impressively the person who was holding it now. The man standing behind the heavenly queen of the music industry. The thick black and huge font gave people a very shocking feeling, and the rather sensational title was enough to attract people to read the content and see what the editor was trying to sell. This article, which occupied more than half of the front page of the Entertainment Express, first reported the great success of Chen Feier's solo national tour, which was enthusiastically pursued by countless fans in Beijing, Huhai, Huacheng, Shancheng, Shacheng. The total audience of the 7 concerts exceeded 500,000, which was the most popular national tour this year. After introducing Chen Feier's solo performance, the editor of the article changed the direction of the pen and used a sophisticated and humorous pen to reveal the key to Chen Feier's gorgeous transformation from the queen of sweet songs to the heavenly queen of love songs. The man standing behind the heavenly queen of the music industry was naturally Lu Chan. The article asserted that the sales of Chen Feier's transformational work Woman Flower album rebounded, infinitely approaching the achievement of 5 million crown, and thus pushing her position in the pop music industry to the peak, was the biggest contributor to Lu Chan. Lu Chan not only wrote many popular love songs for her, but also used the 2 popular TV series, Autumn in My Heart and Full of Romance, to bring her career to a new high point. There was no doubt about his importance to Chen Feier. The headline article also detailed Lu Chen's path to success. In the end, it jokingly said, "Do you want to become a diva like Chen Feier? Then find a man like Lu Chan." After reading the headline, Lu Chan couldn't help but laugh. He folded the newspaper again and placed it on the table in front of him. On September 22, Chen Feier successfully held his first solo concert of the year at the Beijing Olympic Stadium. He appeared as the only guest and sang 2 love songs with Chen Feier. After that, Chen Feier went to the capital Huhai, Huacheng, and other places. Lu Chan accompanied him. Until October 17, the last concert ended in Shangjing. After the two spent a busy and sweet time together, Chen Feier was invited to perform in a long historical TV series produced by CCTV, Song of the Golden Age, while Lu Chan went south to the Shangjang Special Zone. He was now on the intercity express train from Shanghai City to Jiulong in Xiangjiang. Pulled by a powerful electric locomotive, the long express train passed through Luohu and entered the new territories of Xiangjiang. Xiangjiang, formerly known as Hong Kong, is located in South China, east of the Pearl River estuary, on the coast of the South China Sea, north of the Deep Sea, west of the Pearl River, facing the Macau Special Administrative Region across the Pearl River estuary, and the other 2 sides are adjacent to the South China Sea. Xiangjiang is also one of the most prosperous international metropolises in the world. The whole territory is composed of 3 major regions, namely Hong Kong Island, Jiulong Peninsula, and New Territories. The total land area under its jurisdiction is 11,032 square kilometers. As of the end of 2016, the total population is 13.52 million, ranking second in the world in population density. It is the world's 3rd largest financial center after New York and London. Known as Nuremberg, it enjoys a high reputation in the world. It is also an important shipping hub and one of the most competitive cities in the world and the Asia-Pacific region. For 20 consecutive years, its Economic Freedom Index has ranked first in the world. This huge and prosperous city has always been famous for its excellent public security, free economy, and sound legal system. It has the reputation of charm city, food paradise, and shopping paradise. It is also one of the wealthiest, most economically developed, and has the highest standard of living in the world. Half a month ago, Lu Chan applied for permanent residency in Hong Kong and Macau Special Administrative Region, which is commonly known as the Special Economic Zone Green Card. Although he did not transfer his citizenship, with this thin certificate card, whether it is buying property or investing in business in Xiangjiang, he will receive the same treatment as the residents of the Special Administrative Region. And this time, Lu Chen's main purpose in going south to Xiangjiang is to complete the establishment of Lu Chan Xiangjiang Film and Television Studio. In fact, as early as late August, Luchan Xiangjiang Film and Television Studio had already been registered in Xiangjiang. However, including the registration and approval, the rental of the office building, the recruitment of employees, and so on, they were all completed by Wan Xiaoquan, who came to Xiangjiang earlier. However, as the core figure of the studio, many important documents need to be personally signed and checked by Lu Chan. Wan Xiaoquan had long wanted Lu Chan to come to Xiangjiang, but because Lu Chan was too busy with work, it was delayed. Therefore, he had to go now, or else Wan Xiaoquan would jump off the building to protest. For this trip to Xiangjiang, Lu Chan only brought Zhang Xiaofeng as his assistant. It could be said that he traveled light. The speed of the intercity express was very fast. It only took 20 minutes to arrive at Xiangjiang's Zhelong Terminal Station. From here, one can take the Xiangjiang subway that extends in all directions and then go to various areas. Mr. Lu Chan, welcome to Xiangjiang. After the staff of Zhelong Station checked Lu Chen's ID, they gave him a rather charming smile. I wish you a happy day in Xiangjiang. Thank you. Lu Chan took back his ID and walked out with Zhang Xiaofeng. Outside the exit passage, Lu Chan saw Wan Xiaoquan, who came to pick him up. After more than 2 months, seeing this middle-aged director again, Lu Chan almost couldn't recognize him. Compared to the previous depression and gloominess, Wan Xiaoquan, who started a new life in Xiangjiang, seemed to be full of energy. His whole person seemed to be 4 or 5 years younger, full of confidence and vitality. Lu Chan. Seeing Lu Chan coming out from inside, Wan Xiaoquan immediately greeted him with a smile on his face and said, "Finally you're here." Lu Chan blushed with shame. "Director Wan, I'm really sorry. I was too busy a while ago." In order to make him come to Xiangjiang, Wan Xiaoquan had called him more than 10 times. Wan Xiaoquan shook his head with a smile and said, "Let's not talk about this." He pulled the girl beside him over and said, "Let me introduce you. This is little Zhen. Li Zhen, Li as in dawn, Zhen as in pearl. They are your personal assistant and secretary in Xiangjiang." Chapter 422. Li Zhen was 25 years old and graduated from Hong Kong Chinese University. She had 3 years of working experience and once worked with a second-tier star in Hong Kong. She had a good reputation in the circle, so she was poached by Wan Xiaoquan. Wan Xiaoquan was no stranger to Hong Kong. He had a special economic zone green card 10 years ago, and even planned to retire in Hong Kong. He also had some connections with the local entertainment circle. So after coming to Hong Kong with the funds provided by Lu Chan, Wan Xiaoquan quickly got into the role and pulled up a team of people through headhunting or recruitment, showing his ability outside of being a director. However, Wan Xiaoquan's ability in this area was limited, so he needed Lu Chan to come and host. After all, his real job and passion was still shooting movies. Li Zhen was the assistant secretary that Wan Xiaoquan specially prepared for Lu Chan. This delicate and pretty girl had a round face and big eyes. When she smiled, there would be a shallow dimple on her right cheek. Let's not talk about her ability first. At least she was pleasing to the eye. "Hello, Mr. Lu Chan. I am your assistant Li Zhen." After Wan Xiaoquan introduced her, Li Zhen bowed to Lu Chan and said, "Please take care of me." As a local of Hong Kong, Li Zhen's Mandarin was very standard. Almost no accent could be heard. This was also one of the important reasons why Wan Xiaoquan chose her. The official languages of Hong Kong Special Administrative Region were Chinese and English, and the native language of Hong Kong people was Cantonese, so many locals and even many young people could only speak Cantonese. It was very difficult to communicate with the mainlanders. Of course, with the increasing influence of the mainland economy on Hong Kong, the number of people who spoke Mandarin in Hong Kong was increasing day by day, especially those who did business with the mainland. It was very troublesome if they didn't speak Mandarin. Li Zhen was undoubtedly one of the representatives. Lu Chan smiled and reached out his hand and said, "Hello, Miss Li." This name reminded him of Sister Li in the capital. The two names only had a difference of one word. It was also fate. "You can call me Zhen." Li Zhen shook hands with Lu Chan with a blushing face, her heart beating faster for a few seconds. She was not a young girl, nor a newcomer who had never seen the world. It was just that the new boss in front of her was young and handsome, which inevitably touched her special feelings as a woman. After working in the studio, Li Zhen had a detailed understanding of her new boss. She knew that Lu Chan was a rising star in the domestic pop music and film industry, and Lu Chen's girlfriend was Chen Fei. If the current popularity and fame of Lu Chen and Chen Fei in China were not much different, in Hong Kong Lu Chen could not compare with his girlfriend at all in Hong Kong, and Fei was far from the top local stars. The reason for this was very complicated. If Li Zhan hadn't changed this new job, she wouldn't know what kind of person Lu Chen was. But after hearing Lu Chen's works on the internet and watching Autumn in My Heart, starring him, Li Zhan also became a fan of Lu Chen. So it was inevitable that she was excited to see her idol. It must be noted here that last year's Autumn in My Heart had not been broadcasted in Hong Kong. Anna Zhan, I'll have to trouble you in the future. Lu Chen nodded and introduced Zhang Xiaofeng to her. This is my assistant Zhang Xiaofeng. Facing Zhang Xiaofeng, Li Zhan was much more natural and unrestrained. Brother Zhang, please guide me in the future. Zhang Xiaofeng was not good with words, so he shook hands with her a little awkwardly. Hello. Wan Xiaoquan said. Well, let's talk in the car. Let's go to the studio first. The car was already waiting outside. This Mercedes-Benz business car was specially purchased for Lu Chen's Hong Kong studio. It could accommodate 7 people and was very expensive. However, this was a very necessary expenditure. It was impossible to run a business in Xiangjiang without a car. Furthermore, even if the car was of poor quality, it would be very easy to be looked down upon by others. In this metropolis, luxury cars from all over the world were gathered, and Rolls-Royce was the most numerous. The Mercedes-Benz business car was already very low-key. In the future, there would definitely be another car for Lu Chen to match his identity and status. Although Xiangjiang returned to China in 1969, the policy of one country, two systems allowed Xiangjiang to maintain a unique development trajectory. Therefore, whether it was the local customs or laws and regulations, they were all very different from the domestic. Could even be said that they were two different worlds. The address of Lu Chen's Xiangjiang Film and Television Studio was in the commercial center of Xiangpun, not far from Xiangjiang University. This area gathered the main TV stations of Xiangjiang, including the headquarters of wireless and satellite TV stations, as well as big and small film and television entertainment companies and record companies. It was the core and essence of Xiangjiang's entertainment circle. Crossing the Victoria Harbor along the West Kowloon Highway, they entered the commercial area, which was full of high-rise buildings. The business car carrying Lu Chen and others stopped in front of a 50 to 60-story high building. The studio was on the 59th floor of this Rongjin building, in an office with an area of about 200 square meters. Compared to the Lu Chen studio in Beijing, the area of Xiangjiang studio was undoubtedly much smaller, but the rent was not cheap at all. It was more than 100,000 yuan per month, which was equivalent to a monthly rent of 500 square meters. And this was considered cheap in Xiangjiang, where every inch of land was extremely expensive. East of Xiangpun were the Upper Ring, Middle Ring and Golden Bell land. The same area of office buildings with a rent of 2 to 3 million yuan per year could be found everywhere. The high rent was among the highest in the world. Wan Xiaoquan had only been in Xiangjiang for 2 months, but the expenses of renting a house, getting approval, hiring people, buying a car, etc. had been spent like water. Of course, this money was not spent in vain. In addition to the necessary investment, the early investment also allowed Lu Chen to easily obtain a special economic zone green card. Otherwise, even if he was a well-known artist in the country, it would take a long time and effort to apply for a green card. As for ordinary people, it was currently already very difficult to apply for a green card, not to mention the more difficult immigration. The economic prosperity, coupled with a large population and special environment, and then there were investors from the mainland investing in Xiangjiang's real estate market. Therefore, the average house price in Xiangjiang was the highest in the world, surpassing that of Beijing. A 200 square meters office building, for a newly established star studio, was actually already considered very luxurious. There were also many local artists in Xiangjiang who opened a studio, but only a few could rent such a big office in this commercial area. As for the current employees of the studio, aside from Wan Xiaoquan and Li Zhan, there were also 7 people, including the receptionist, ordinary clerks, financial cashier, network management, marketing planner, and so on. There was also a director of the studio, Chen Wanqiang. Chapter 423. Although Lu Chen's Xiangjiang Film and Television Studio had only been established for a short time, everything here seemed to be orderly and regular. None of the recruited employees was idle. They were all busy preparing for the first movie that the studio was going to shoot. Although it was small, it was complete. The most important thing was that the atmosphere in the studio was very good, giving people a sense of vitality, which made Lu Chan very satisfied. Wan Xiaoquan was not greedy for credit. He gave the credit to Chan Wanxiang, the director of the studio. Lu Chen's Xiangjiang studio still had very few employees. Of course, Lu Chan himself was the big boss, and Wan Xiaoquan served as the artistic director. When it came to specific work affairs, it all depended on this thin middle-aged man. Chen Wenxiang was not good-looking. He had high cheekbones, a tight and narrow chin, and a pointed mouth and monkey cheeks. His skin was dark and thin, and he was no more than 1.6 meters tall. He looked a little funny in a wrinkled suit. However, his eyes were full of spirit. His eyes were bright, and he gave people a feeling that he was tough and difficult to deal with. On the way to the studio, Wan Xiaoquan deliberately told Lu Chan about the new director. Chan Wenxiang was a descendant of the first generation of immigrants in Xiangjiang. He grew up in a small fishing village in the New Territories. After graduating from high school, he came out to join the society. He washed dishes and swept the streets. Later, he accidentally entered the film and television circle. He started as a handyman, ran errands for others, was an assistant, an agent, and even worked as a director of a TV station. His work experience could be said to be very rich. He was a role similar to that of a jack-of-all-trades, but he had never really stood out. His career was bumpy, and his life was not smooth. Chan Wenxiang's wife died very early, leaving him and his only daughter to rely on each other and work hard to make a living. Wan Xiaoquan poached Chan Wenxiang through the introduction of a friend. For an outsider like Lu Chen's studio, which had no connections and foundation in Xiangjiang, it would undoubtedly avoid a lot of unnecessary troubles and take fewer detours, and it would be easier for them to integrate into the local circle. Of course, the price of poaching people was not low. In addition to the necessary high salary, Wan Xiaoquan also promised to give Chan Wenxiang's daughter a role in the first movie produced by the studio. Chan Wenxiang's daughter, Chan Si, was currently studying in an acting training class and wanted to enter the entertainment circle. This daughter was Chan Wenxiang's lifeblood. Uncle Chang, thank you for your hard work. After Wan Xiaoquan's introduction, Lu Chan took the initiative to extend his hand to Chan Wenxiang. I'm new here, so I'm not familiar with everything here. Please give me some pointers. Lu Chan would never care about his boss's face and style to pretend to know something he didn't know. His frank and enthusiastic attitude clearly surprised Chan Wenxiang. He quickly bowed and shook Lu Chen's hand, saying, "Boss, you're too kind. It's my honor to serve you." Compared to Li Zhan, Chan Wenxiang's standard of Mandarin was really far behind. Not only was it stiff, but it also had a strong Cantonese accent. If one did not listen carefully, one would not be able to understand it. Lu Chan smiled and said, "Uncle Chang is too polite. I wish us a happy cooperation." These two sentences were said in Cantonese, and it was very standard Cantonese. Chan Wenxiang was suddenly stunned. Even Wan Xiaoquan and Li Zhan, who were next to him, were very surprised. Wan Xiaoquan had known Lu Chan for a period of time. Chan Wenxiang and Li Zhan had seen his relevant information and knew that he was from Zhejiang province. He had just graduated from university last year and majored in computer science. After graduation, Lu Chan had been developing in the capital and had never been to Xiangjiang. Today was the first time. Then why was he so fluent in Cantonese? Of course, Lu Chan knew what everyone was thinking, but he couldn't say that his ability to speak Cantonese came from Su Wenba's memory. Could he? He explained, "I learned Cantonese from a classmate from Chaoshan. It's not bad, right?" Chan Wenxiang gave a thumbs up and sincerely praised, "Boss, this is your Cantonese. There's nothing to say." He didn't care how Lu Chan learned Cantonese. What was important was that there would be no obstacles in communicating with Lu Chan in the future. He was worried about this problem at first, fearing that it would affect the communication between the two parties. Chan Wenxiang knew much more about Lu Chan than Li Zhan. Through the information obtained from various aspects, Lu Chan had already made a big name for himself in the domestic entertainment circle. His future was limitless. What he currently lacked was qualifications. Lu Chan chose to come to Xiangjiang to establish his new career. Chan Wenxiang felt that this was an opportunity for him. As long as he grasped this relationship, even if the film here failed in the future, it would be easy to bring his daughter to develop in China. Compared to the entertainment circle in Xinjiang, the domestic world was really vast. Therefore, when Chen Wenchang jumped to Lu Chen's studio, he sincerely wanted to make some achievements. I've seen many celebrities from the mainland. Your Cantonese is the best. It's not a problem for you to be a real Xinjiang person. Lu Chen smiled faintly. Chen Wenchang's attitude towards him was certainly sincere and respectful, but his words inadvertently revealed the superiority of the Xinjiang people over the mainlanders. Chen Wenchang was like this. What about the big stars and high-level figures in Xinjiang's entertainment circle? Although it was a good opportunity, it wasn't easy for him to expand his business here. Lu Chen had already been mentally prepared for this. He couldn't have all the good things in the world. If Xinjiang was a new battlefield, he would not be afraid of any challenges. A life full of challenges was an interesting and meaningful life. Wan Shaoguan timely said, "Let's go to the small conference room to talk about the new film." The most anxious person about the film was not Lu Chen. It was the director who had not sat in the director's chair for several years. He had gotten Lu Chen's script when he was in the capital and had basically studied it thoroughly. From the perspective of filming, it's not difficult. In the small conference room of the studio, Wan Shaoguan spoke confidently in front of the projection screen. What was shown on the screen was the draft of the new film that he had drawn himself. Every stroke was undoubtedly permeated with the director's painstaking efforts. All the scenes can be shot in the Lion Rock Film and Television City. In addition, as for the special effects, several local special effects companies in Xinjiang are fully capable of producing them, including the soundtrack, dubbing, and so on. There is no need to go back to the mainland to find people. The main problem is still the crew, or partners. Chapter 424. Xinjiang was originally an important colony of the United Kingdom. After the handover in 1967, it became one of the 3 special administrative regions of China, retaining the original political system and social structure, which would not change within 100 years. Next year would be the 50th anniversary of Xinjiang's return to the motherland. In the past 50 years, Xinjiang's economy had been prosperous and developed. With finance and trade as the pillar industry, Xinjiang's per capita GDP had always been in the forefront of the world, and many world-class rich people had emerged. However, the different political culture also created the social atmosphere of Xinjiang that was different from that of the mainland. In recent years, this international metropolis had shown a kind of aloof and independent attitude, instinctively rejecting the political, economic, and cultural influence from the mainland. The social situation was very complicated. Xinjiang's entertainment circle was also a self-circulating and relatively closed circle. Although there was communication with the domestic entertainment circle, there was a clear distinction between them. The locals of Xinjiang usually only cared about the local artists and lacked interest in understanding the domestic stars. Xinjiang's media would also selectively ignore the entertainment news from the domestic and only report the entertainment gossip from Hong Kong, or add in the news from Taiwan, Japan, Korea, Europe, and America. All of these were the embodiment of pride and independence, even if more and more people in the entertainment circle were constantly seeking opportunities to develop in China, and more Xinjiang artists appeared on domestic TV and movie screens. The Xinjiang government cooperated with the domestic state administration of radio, film, and television to jointly formulate new regulations to support Xinjiang's film industry. They encouraged any film production company registered in Xinjiang to apply for preferential and support policies and share the domestic and Xinjiang film market. On one hand, it was to revive the declining Xinjiang film industry, and on the other hand, it was to break the barrier. However, the specific effects still had to be proved by time. As one of the first batch of people to enter Xinjiang to register and establish a film and television organization, if Lu Chen Studio wanted to smoothly develop here, it was far from enough to rely on preferential and support policies. After decades of development, Xinjiang's film and television industry had already formed an inherent pattern of rules, which formed a natural barrier for those outsiders, and it was not easy to break it. Therefore, for Lu Chen to shoot a film in Xinjiang, it was not easy to hire a few cameramen, a sound recordist, or a crew, and so on. First, he had to understand, be familiar with, and finally understand how to use the rules here. Chen Wenchang's suggestion was very simple. and that was to find a powerful local film and television company to co-shoot a new film. This was the fastest and easiest method, but it would be more troublesome to find out which film company was involved. In the 80s and 90s, there were countless local film and television companies in Xinjiang. The number of movies and TV series produced every year could be said to be astonishing, and they were continuously sold to China and Southeast Asia. Although the glory days were gone, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Major film companies such as Jinrong Wang Corporation and Polaroid still firmly controlled the market and held the right to speak in the film and television industry. Chen Wenxiang did not have a high opinion of these old film companies. Even if they all had a glorious past, it would be very difficult for them to work alone or find a third or fourth-rate film company to steadily get a place to export to the mainland. The new problem is that big companies such as Jinrong, Wang and Polaroid are very difficult to deal with. Outsiders like Luchan Studio are also a newly established small enterprise. Even if they agree to cooperate, the conditions they offer are very high, even to the extent of harsh. This was the problem that troubled Wan Shaoquan the most. And if this step was not taken well, then the road ahead would be very difficult. Luchan could see that Wan Shaoquan was worried about this. He thought that this was probably the reason why Wan Shaoquan pulled him here, so he comforted him. Don't worry, let's think of a way slowly. Since Luchan was here, he definitely wanted to help. Although he was not familiar with the people and places in Xinjiang, he could still contact a few people in the circle through his friends, such as Chan Feier and Tan Hong. Chen Wenxiang did not say anything because the level of cooperation in a film was very high, and he was familiar with the middle and lower level circle. He had no right to speak to the higher level of the film and television industry, so of course he could not speak carelessly. They discussed in the meeting room for 2 hours and drew up a preliminary follow-up plan and work arrangement. After the temporary meeting, Chen Wenxiang said to Luchan, "Boss, it's your first time in Xinjiang. Can you let me treat you to Xinjiang's food today? It can be considered as a welcome dinner for you." Luchan smiled and said, "If you treat and I pay, then there's no problem." How could he let his subordinate treat him to a meal for the first time? Of course, he had to give face to Chen Wenxiang. Chen Wenxiang was stunned. Wan Shaoquan laughed and said, "That's it then, let's go." He reached out and patted Chen Wenxiang, who was still a little confused, and said, "Brother Chong, we don't have to save money for the boss. The song he writes for others costs more than $1 million. Ah. Li Zhen, who was sitting at the side, let out a soft cry. She looked at Luchan with stars in her eyes. Writing a song for others costs more than $1 million? Wouldn't he be able to buy a house in Xinjiang by writing a few dozen songs? Chen Wenxiang could not believe it. As far as he knew, the top songwriters in Xinjiang only cost 200,000 to 300,000 yuan per song. Luchan was several times more than them? Luchan was very good at original music, but this price was too amazing. Luchan did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Uncle Chong, don't listen to Director Wan's nonsense. Let's go eat." The place Chen Wenxiang took Luchan to was the typhoon shelter in Causeway Bay. Together with Li Zhan and Zhang Xiaofeng's 2 assistants, there was a total of 5 people. Everyone had dinner on a special cruise ship. While enjoying the beautiful scenery of Victoria Harbor, they tasted the first-class seafood. The real local specialties made Luchan full of praise. After eating this sumptuous seafood meal, Chen Wenxiang asked, "Boss, which hotel are you staying at tonight? Have you booked a room?" Luchan said, "I'm not staying in a hotel. My friend borrowed a house in Repulse Bay for me to stay. Brother Zhang will send me there first, and then you can arrange a place for him to stay." A house in Repulse Bay. Chen Wenxiang secretly sighed. That was the high-end residential area of Xinjiang. Mansions worth hundreds of millions could be found everywhere. He did not know which friend of Luchan had borrowed a house in Repulse Bay to stay. He quickly said, "No problem, then I will wait here for Xiaofeng to come back. I will take him to the staff's apartment. The room has been arranged." Chapter 425. In the night, the black Mercedes-Benz MPV drove out of the typhoon shelter of Causeway Bay, entered Shangdao Island through the Aberdeen Tunnel, and arrived at the Repulse Bay area in the east. In just 10 minutes, the scene was very different. Repulse Bay was located in the south of Taiping Mountain in Hong Kong Island. It was near the mountain and the sea. The bay was crescent-shaped and was known as the first bay in the world. It also had the reputation of Hawaii of the East. It was the most beautiful and representative bay in Hong Kong. It was not only the tourist area of Hong Kong, but also one of the famous high-end residential areas in Hong Kong Island. The area was full of luxury houses, surrounded by many five-star hotels, ocean parks, golf courses, large supermarkets and other commercial facilities. Lu Chen's residence in Hong Kong was in the Wanjin apartment at number 268, Repulse Bay Road. Your husband really had the foresight to buy a house here early, Wan Xiaoquan, who was sitting in the passenger seat, said to Lu Chen half jokingly and half seriously. With the current housing prices here, I'm afraid I can't afford it even if I don't eat or drink for the rest of my life. Originally, Lu Chen asked his assistant Zhang Xiaofeng to send him here. Although it was Zhang Xiaofeng's first time in Hong Kong, the MPV had perfect navigation equipment so he didn't have to worry about going the wrong way. However, Wan Xiaoquan was a little worried, and there was something else he wanted to say to Lu Chen, so he followed the car. Lu Chen said with a smile, "If things go well here, I think you will be able to afford it soon." The housing prices in Repulse Bay were extremely expensive. When Chen Feier bought this house with an area of only 137 square meters 10 years ago, she spent all her savings at that time and also applied for a bank mortgage loan. Now 10 years had passed, the market value of this house had increased at least 10 times. In terms of investment income, it was difficult for any project to compare with it. As early as more than 10 years ago, domestic celebrities began to buy properties in Hong Kong, and some even directly moved here, which also played a certain role in the rise of Hong Kong's housing prices. Chen Feier had bought 3 houses in Xiangjiang in total. The other 2 houses were bought by her when the real estate market rose sharply. This house in Repulse Bay was her favorite. She kept it for her vacation. Now, it just so happened that Lu Chen got a bargain. Otherwise, if he rented such a big house with such a good location in Xiangjiang, the monthly rent would be quite a shocking figure. Wan Xiaoquan shook his head and said, "If you buy one here, you can buy 2 or 3 in the capital." Lu Chen said, "Let's not talk about the house first. It's not good to have a car in Hong Kong. How about this, you and Uncle Chong go and buy 2 BMWs and put them into the studio's account. They will be your work car." Lu Chen had never been a stingy person, especially now that a TV series could bring in more than 100 million yuan. Buying a few cars was nothing at all. Wan Xiaoquan was the art director of Lu Chen's Xiangjiang studio, and the director of the new film. Chen Wanxiang was the director of the studio. To a large extent, the two of them represented the image of the studio. If he didn't even have a decent car, he would also lose face. People in Xiangjiang were very particular about face. Even the managers of debt-ridden companies would still drive luxury cars. Otherwise, there would be no way to talk business with others. Wan Xiaoquan was surprised and moved. That's not good. Wan Xiaoquan usually needed a car, but Lu Chen gave him a BMW, which inevitably made him a little scared. After all, he came to Xiangjiang to set up a film studio and spent money like water. There was still no sign of shooting. He always felt that he didn't work hard enough and felt sorry for Lu Chen. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Nothing bad. It's settled. Let's go to the 4S store tomorrow." Seeing Lu Chen's stubbornness, Wan Xiaoquan had to accept Lu Chen's kindness. In his heart, he was more and more determined to work for Lu Chen. After experiencing the fickleness of human nature, and the fickleness of the world, Wan Xiaoquan deeply understood how rare and precious Lu Chen's trust and kindness were for him. It was also the best opportunity for him to start over. The Mercedes-Benz stopped in front of a high-rise residential building. Lu Chen got out of the car and said to Zhang Xiaofeng, "You go back with Director Wan first. I'll go up by myself. Pick me up at about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning." Zhang Xiaofeng nodded and said, "Okay, boss." After saying goodbye to the two, Lu Chen walked to the apartment building alone. The residential buildings along Repulse Bay Road were all high-end communities, so the security was very tight. However, Lu Chen had the access card given to him by Chen Feier, and he had already informed the property management company here when he was in Beijing to update the security password and fingerprint information, so he entered the gate smoothly. Taking the elevator straight to the 58th floor, Lu Chen found the room 5801 where he lived. The brocade apartment had a total of 60 floors, which was also one of the characteristics of Hong Kong. The area was narrow and the usable area was small, So the buildings were built very high to make full use of the space. Repulse Bay was considered very good. The high-rise buildings in the real public community were densely packed to a terrifying degree. Beep! Lu Chan pressed his fingerprint on the door lock, and the red indicator light immediately turned green, and the door opened with a click. When he pushed the door in, the lights in the porch and the lights in the living room automatically lit up. The soft light evenly illuminated the whole space, and it gave a very warm feeling. Lu Chan casually closed the door, took off his shoes and observed his new house. This luxury apartment had a layout of 3 bedrooms, 2 living rooms and 2 bathrooms. The decoration was very exquisite, and the designer's intention and creativity could be seen everywhere. Especially through the large floor-to-ceiling windows in the living room, one could directly see the distant view of the bay. The room was clean and tidy. It had already been cleaned by appointment. He walked over, pushed open the glass partition door, and walked to the big balcony. The gentle sea breeze blew, making people feel relaxed and happy. He looked up at the bright moon in the sky, saw the sparkling blue sea, and the long beach was dotted with bonfires. This scene made Lu Chan have the idea of living here for the rest of his life. Ring ring, just then his cell phone rang. Lu Chan picked it up directly. Hello. Chun Feier's sweet and moving voice came from the phone. How is it? Are you home? Lu Chan smiled and said, I was just about to call you. I just got home. Chun Feier asked, How is this apartment? Lu Chan sighed and said, It can't be better, so I decided not to work in the future. I'm going to live off you. Chun Feier laughed and said, Nonsense, as long as you like it. I'm afraid you won't be used to it. Lu Chan asked, How is it on your side? Chun Feier complained, It's very hard. Much harder than filming Autumn in My Heart, and full of romance. Chapter 426. Chun Feier was currently filming CCTV's new annual drama, Shangshi Changxing. The story was set in the Jingguan period of the Tang dynasty. She played the role of a beautiful singer. The TV series was 60 episodes long, with an investment of 170 million yuan. A large number of domestic stars, including several big shots in the film and television circle, were gathered in the show, so it attracted the attention of the industry. Although Chun Feier was not the first heroine, she had a lot of scenes, so it was impossible to finish shooting in a short time. Moreover, the director of the show was known for his strict requirements for actors in the industry. I regret taking this show. Chun Feier complained in a sweet voice. If I had known this, I would have gone to Hong Kong with you to shoot a movie. It must be very interesting. When she was filming Autumn in My Heart, and Full House of Romance, the whole crew was around her and Lu Chan, and the service was meticulous. Moreover, the requirements for shooting an urban idol drama were low, so it was naturally much easier. In the crew of Shangshi Changxing, Chun Feier was not the first heroine. It was undoubtedly a fool's dream to expect others to accommodate her. However, this drama was very important for Chun Feier, who was developing in an all-round way in film, television, and singing. Once it was successfully filmed and broadcast next year, it would be of great help to improve her status in the circle. Therefore, although she complained, she still had to shoot the drama seriously. Lu Chan knew this, so he acted as a psychologist to comfort her. The two of them talked to each other on the phone, and the sweet phone call lasted for more than an hour. It was not until there was a low battery tone that Chun Feier seemed to wake up from a dream and said quickly, Oh, my phone is almost out of battery. I forgot to tell you one thing. I have a friend in Hong Kong. You should know her. Her name is Xu Jing. I called her yesterday and mentioned you. She will probably send an invitation tomorrow to invite you to a charity dinner. There will be a lot of people in the circle. Lu Chan understood as soon as he heard this. He started his film career in Hong Kong without any foundation, so it could be said that he was unfamiliar with the people in the place. Chun Feier obviously wanted to bring Lu Chan into the circle of Xiangjiang through his relationship with Xu Jing. As long as he knew more useful people, his future development would undoubtedly be much smoother. The so-called charity banquet was actually a place for socializing. If one wanted to enter such an occasion, he or she would need a guide. Xu Jing was the one leading the way. Lu Chan didn't know Xu Jing, but he wasn't unfamiliar with her name. From the late 1990s to the beginning of the new century, this Xiangjiang singer, who debuted as a young girl, was very active in the pop music world. She had released many albums that sold well and won countless fans with her youthful and beautiful image and sweet voice. However, at the peak of her career, Xu Jing married into a wealthy family at a young age, and then disappeared from the music industry, which made people sigh. However, 2 years ago, Xu Jing suddenly announced that she had divorced and returned to the music industry. However, things were different now. After she stepped onto the stage again, she did not come up with any outstanding works. She was still famous, but her popularity was almost gone. In other words, she was an old singer of the past. In fact, Xu Jing was only 37 years old this year. For a powerful singer, the real golden age was far from over. However, Xu Jing was, after all, an all-powerful figure in the music industry of Xiangjiang. In addition, she had more than 10 years of life as a rich wife, so she had a wide range of contacts in all aspects. Chen Feier introduced Lu Chan to Xu Jing, undoubtedly because of the latter's connections. Chen Feier had known Xu Jing for a long time. When she bought the house in Repulse Bay, it was Xu Jing who recommended her. She used her connections to get a discount, so they were quite friends. After Xu Jing retired from the music industry, as long as she came to the capital, she would always find Chen Feier to have tea and chat. After ending the call with Chen Feier, Lu Chen's mobile phone was already very hot. After watching the scenery on the balcony for a while, Lu Chen was ready to go back to his room to take a shower and sleep, but his mobile phone rang again. He answered the phone without thinking, smiled and asked, "What's wrong? Did you forget anything else?" Lu Chen thought it was Chen Feier calling again, but he didn't expect that the voice coming from the phone was very strange. "Hello, are you Mr. Lu Chen?" Lu Chen was stunned. "Yes, may I ask who you are?" The other party said, "I'm Xu Jing. I don't know if Feier has mentioned me to you. Sorry to disturb you." Lu Chen suddenly understood. "Hello, Sister Jing. I was talking to Feier on the phone just now, and she mentioned you." Xu Jing spoke Mandarin very well, without much Hong Kong accent. She said softly, "No wonder I couldn't get through to you just now. It's like this. I want to invite you to the charity dinner scheduled for the night after tomorrow at the Shangri-La Hotel. I wonder if you can do me the honor?" Lu Chen quickly said, "It's my honor. I just came to Xiangjiang to develop my career. Please take care of me in the future, Sister Jing. I will definitely attend the dinner at the Shangri-La Hotel." "That's good," Xu Jing said with a smile. "I'll send someone to send the invitation to your company tomorrow morning. I'll confirm with you first." "Okay, thank you." After a few polite words, Lu Chen hung up the phone. Lu Chen didn't expect Xu Jing to call him at this time. Through this conversation, he had a good impression of Xu Jing, and believed that she should be a friend worth making. This made Lu Chen somewhat look forward to the dinner the night after tomorrow. If there were no accidents, it would be his first step in the Xiangjiang entertainment circle, a very important step. After taking a shower in the bathroom, Lu Chen went to bed to rest. The next day he got up early in the morning, put on a set of sportswear and went out to run. In the early morning, there were many people exercising along the beach of Shallow Water Bay. Some were running and some were playing ball. Lu Chen ran a few laps back. When he returned home, he was already sweating profusely. After taking a shower and changing into new clothes, Zhang Xiaofeng called. Lu Chen went downstairs again, got in his car and went out for breakfast. Xiangjiang was a food paradise. There were all kinds of breakfast, and the most famous was the Cantonese breakfast. There were also several old tea house chain stores in the Shallow Water Bay area, so he didn't have to worry about not being able to find a place. After breakfast, he went to the studio. It was exactly 9 o'clock. As soon as Lu Chen arrived at the office, Li Zhan took out a beautiful invitation and handed it to him. "This was just sent by Miss Xu Jing this morning." "It was sent here so soon?" Lu Chen was a little surprised. In fact, Li Zhan was even more surprised. She didn't expect Lu Chen to have a relationship with Xu Jing. Chapter 427. Xu Jing was very famous in Hong Kong's entertainment circle. She became famous overnight when she debuted at a young age, and her first album was a double platinum hit. She was called the Little Queen of the music industry. When her career was at its peak, she bravely retired and married into a rich family. She became the idol of many female artists. After getting married, Xu Jing no longer set foot in the entertainment circle, but her influence in the circle had always been there, especially the Happy Angel charity fund she founded, which was supported by many stars. A few years ago, Xu Jing's divorce case with the rich young master had caused a sensation in Hong Kong. After being single again, Xu Jing returned to the music circle. Although she was no longer as glorious as she used to be, her connections and reputation in the circle were still there. Xu Jing often held charity banquets to raise money for her angel fund, and the people invited were all celebrities and stars in the circle of Hong Kong's upper class. Those small singers and artists couldn't get in even if they sharpened their brains. Lu Chan had just arrived in Hong Kong, but Xu Jing took the initiative to send an invitation letter, which made Li Zhan have a new view of her boss's background and strength. She asked with concern, "Boss, did you bring clothes for the banquet this time? Do you want me to send them to the dry cleaner for re-ironing?" Lu Chan said with a smile, "No, fortunately you reminded me. I'll buy 2 sets today." He came to Hong Kong with light luggage this time. He only had a few sets of ordinary clothes in his carry-on luggage. He really didn't wear a suitable dress for Xu Jing's charity banquet. If it weren't for Li Zhan's reminder, he wouldn't have thought of it. Li Zhan had completely entered the role of a personal assistant and secretary, and she considerately suggested, "It's too late to make a custom order now. I know several master tailors have to make a reservation 1 or 2 months in advance. Boss, what brand of clothes do you like?" If he couldn't make a custom order, he could only buy ready-made clothes. Lu Chan thought for a moment and said, "Armani." Lu Chan liked Armani suits and coats the most, and he often wore them in China. Li Zhan clapped her hands. "Armani's headquarters in Hong Kong is in Central. I know the location." Lu Chan said with a smile, "Let's go together. Let's buy a car first and then clothes." Li Zhan was surprised. "Boss, you want to buy a car?" Lu Chan nodded. "Buy a BMW for Director Wan and Uncle Chong first. They need it very much." Li Zhan was rendered speechless. She had come out to work for a living and had worked for several bosses. She had also seen a lot of different bosses. Li Zhan has never seen a boss as forthright and generous as Lu Chan. There were stingy people everywhere in the entertainment industry. Some stars were even so stingy that they couldn't bear to buy lunch boxes for their assistants. This was no longer news. As soon as Lu Chan arrived, he gave 2 BMWs to the 2 managers of the studio. Moreover, he said it as if he had bought 2 pieces of clothes, which really made Li Zhan secretly click her tongue. Was it really that easy to make money for Chinese celebrities? Li Zhan looked at Lu Chan with stars in her eyes. Not only was he forthright and generous, he was also so young, handsome, and talented. He was simply a diamond bachelor in the entertainment industry. It was estimated that he would be very popular in the future. Li Zhan didn't think that others wouldn't have a chance just because Lu Chan had a heavenly queen as his girlfriend, because this was Hong Kong. Of course, she knew that she definitely didn't have a chance. The gap was too big. Lu Chen didn't know that because of his words, the little secretary's mind had turned so many thoughts. He called Wan Xiaoguan and Chen Wenqiang to do all the things that should be done today. He called Wan Xiaoguan and Chen Wenqiang to do all the things that should be done today. There were 5 people in the MPV again. Chen Wenqiang was the one with the most complicated feelings in his heart. Chen Wenqiang's life experience was much richer and more bumpy than Li Zhan's. He was used to the fickleness of human nature and the fickleness of the world. He had already hardened his heart and wouldn't be easily moved by anything. Even so, Lu Chen's generosity and trust still made him feel that he had followed the right person this time. Chen Wenqiang wouldn't say any words of gratitude, nor would he show too much expression of being moved. He just remembered it in his heart and would naturally show it at work in the future. Led by Lu Chen himself, the group of people first went to the BMW flagship store in Hong Kong to book 2 cars, then went to the Armani main store to buy clothes, and finally went to the Commerce Department in Hong Kong to take photos and sign the documents, completing all the final registration procedures of the studio. At this point, Lu Chen Film and Television Studio officially settled in Hong Kong and had the legal qualification to operate. At the same time, Lu Chan also represented the studio and submitted an application for the local film and television support program to the Commerce Department. Once this application was approved, the movies and TV shows shot by the studio would not only receive tax incentives and government funding support, but also be broadcasted and screened in Hong Kong and the mainland through the Green Channel. This was the most fundamental reason why Lu Chan went south to Hong Kong and started his film career here. In fact, there were many mainland film companies investing in Hong Kong like him. In the foreseeable future, the Hong Kong film industry, which was about to become a pool of stagnant water, was bound to surge and there would be fierce competition. The black Mercedes-Benz business car steadily stopped in front of the Shangri-La Hotel. The door slid open silently, and a man wearing a dark gray Armani suit got out of the car and stood firmly on the red carpet. The surrounding corners immediately lit up with flashes. Lu Chan couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect that a charity dinner could actually attract so many paparazzi. The paparazzi in Hong Kong were famous. They were good at tracking and digging up the privacy of celebrities. They could be said to be the most troublesome existence for star artists. As long as there was a star artist, there was bound to be an active figure. Someone once said that the entertainment newspapers and magazines in Hong Kong were basically supported by paparazzi. Without their existence, Hong Kong's entertainment circle would be too lonely, and they were indispensable. It was also because of this kind of fearlessness that the Xiangjiang paparazzi were particularly bold and even arrogant. They even did not hesitate to cheat and deceive for the sake of news. It was also later that it caused public indignation in the entertainment circle and caused a strong counterattack. In recent years, they had restrained themselves and did not dare to write and shoot unscrupulously. Even so, for Lu Chan, the Xiangjiang paparazzi were the target that he had to guard against. They were much less moral than their domestic counterparts. Before coming to Hong Kong, Chun Fair had specially reminded Lu Chan about this. However, while Lu Chan was thinking about guarding against the paparazzi lying in ambush near the hotel were dumbfounded. "Hey, who is this guy? Why have I never seen him before?" Chapter 428. One Champion. Singing China. 2 big selling albums. You Who Sat Next to Me, and The Ordinary Road. 2 phenomenal TV series. Autumn in My Heart, and Full House of Romance. Lu Chan has only made his debut for more than a year, but with his strong strength and dazzling achievements, he has risen to fame in the domestic entertainment circle and has countless fans. If he doesn't wear sunglasses or disguise himself when he walks on the street, he will definitely be surrounded by people. And he has also encountered many situations where he has been surrounded by passers-by. But in Hong Kong, there are really few people who know and are familiar with him. These people definitely do not include the paparazzi squatting at the entrance of the Shangri-La Hotel at this moment. They are completely out of professional instinct to take pictures of every guest who attended the banquet tonight, hoping to get some useful information from them. However, Lu Chan, who has just been captured in the camera, is very strange to the paparazzi. A senior paparazzi would usually have a database in his head. The content of the database was the figures and appearances of the celebrities in Xiangjiang, as well as the celebrities in the business world. This way, as long as he found a target, he would be able to immediately identify them. Lu Chan is obviously not in this database. He looks very young, tall, big, handsome, and impeccable in appearance. He is definitely a first-class man, not like an ordinary person. A rich child who has returned from overseas? Was it a newly established company? The paparazzi in Hong Kong have never cared about mainland stars, because the people of Hong Kong only like to read the entertainment gossip and scandals of local artists, so they inevitably misunderstand the identity of Lu Chan. If he is a person in the entertainment circle as outstanding as Lu Chan, it is impossible for everyone not to know him. Because of the mystery, the paparazzi present have a little interest in Lu Chan. After all, the guests who are eligible to attend Shu Jing charity banquet in the evening are not ordinary people. There are 3 entrances and exits of the Shangri-La Hotel, and the middle passage connected to the red carpet and revolving door is reserved for the dinner guests. After showing his invitation to the doorman, Lu Chan and his assistant Li Zhan walked through the revolving door into the magnificent hall. 2 rows of flower baskets were neatly arranged on both sides of the staircase, leading to the 2nd floor of the hall. Lu Chan walked up the stairs and soon arrived at the banquet above. On the way upstairs, he suddenly felt a little uneasy, as if he had neglected something. But he couldn't remember. There were dozens of tables in the main banquet hall. The snow-white tablecloths were matched with delicate flowers and silver cutlery. There were already many guests seated before the banquet started. A band was playing on the stage. Lu Chan soon discovered that a beautiful lady in a purple evening dress was standing under a huge crystal chandelier. She was chatting and laughing with a few well-dressed gentlemen and ladies. She was clearly the focus of the entire hall. Xu Jing. Lu Chan had seen Xu Jing's photo before, and she was so dazzling so he could easily recognize her. After pondering for a moment, Lu Chan walked straight towards Xu Jing. Xu Jing's senses were very sensitive. As soon as Lu Chan walked over, her attention turned to him. Her limpid eyes fell on Lu Chan, and there was a trace of doubt in her eyes. But very quickly the doubt turned into joy. "Excuse me," she said to the person next to her, then turned to greet Lu Chan and asked, "Lu Chan?" Lu Chan nodded and said, "Hello, Sister Jing." Xu Jing was 37 years old this year, but she took good care of herself. She looked like she was in her early 30s. She had phoenix eyes and willow leaf eyebrows. Her facial features were outstanding, and her makeup was exquisite. She had a mature charm that young girls couldn't reach. In terms of appearance, she couldn't compare to Chan Fei, but her graceful bearing had a unique charm. Her smile was like a spring breeze, making people unconsciously want to get close to her. "Really is you. I was wondering when you would come." Xu Jing took the initiative to extend her hand to Lu Chan. "Actually, I've long wanted to see what the man Fei chose is like." Lu Chan shook her hand and said with a smile, "I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you." Xu Jing looked at Lu Chan carefully and said, "On the contrary, he's more outstanding than I thought. Fei's taste is always so good. It's really enviable." She joked half-jokingly and unknowingly narrowed the distance between them. "How does it feel to come to Xiangjiang for the first time?" Lu Chan said. "It's very beautiful, Sister Jing." As the two were chatting, a frivolous voice suddenly came from the side. "Who is this? You look very unfamiliar." Lu Chan turned his head and saw a young man in a white suit who interrupted. He looked to be in his 20s or 30s. He was not tall, and his hair was neatly combed and smeared with a lot of hair wax. It was glossy. Seeing Lu Chen's gaze, the man in the white suit gave him a disdainful look. There was a middle-aged man beside the man in the white suit with a smile on his face. He first nodded to Lu Chan in a friendly manner, but soon his attention was on Xu Jing. Xu Jing's eyebrows wrinkled slightly, and then immediately stretched out. She said with a smile, "Lu Chan, let me introduce you. This is Liang Jiaxing, the general manager of Xinqing Pictures. This is Liang Zhihao, the nephew of Mr. Liang." Xinqing Pictures? Lu Chan had never heard of it. It was definitely not one of the large film and television companies in Xiangjiang. However, since it was invited by Xu Jing, it must be powerful. Liang Jiaxing gave a good impression on the surface, unlike his nephew, who had the words superficial and impetuous written on his face. But this made Lu Chan feel a little vigilant. This kind of person was best at hiding a dagger behind a smile. Keeping an appropriate distance was the best choice. He said calmly, "Nice to meet you, Mr. Liang." Lu Chan directly ignored Liang Zhihao, which made the latter so angry that his nose became crooked. Xu Jing introduced him again. "This is Lu Chan, who just came from the mainland. He is my good friend's boyfriend." Liang Jiaxing laughed and said, "You really look talented." He shook hands with Lu Chan and asked casually, "Are you going to develop your career in Xiangjiang, Mr. Lu? I can help you introduce some useful friends." Lu Chan smiled faintly and said, "Thank you, Mr. Liang. I will definitely ask you for help if I need it." In fact, it was nonsense. As the saying goes, one who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Lu Chen's intuition told him that Mr. Liang had some kind of ambition for Xu Jing. His nephew was just a tool for him to use. He jumped out probably because Xu Jing had a good chat with him just now. "Do I look like a gigolo?" Lu Chan was speechless in his heart. As a result, the tool jumped out again and asked loudly, "You're from the mainland. What did you bring for Sister Jing tonight?" Lu Chan couldn't help but frown. He knew the reason why he was uneasy just now. Chapter 429. Lu Chan definitely didn't have the ability to predict the future. He couldn't predict that there would be an accident at the charity banquet. Liang Zhihao jumped out to make trouble for him. Although it was very inexplicable, it also made Lu Chan realize that he had made a mistake. He should have learned more about the banquet before attending. For example, if there were any rules or things to pay attention to, he would have come directly. Of course, he definitely brought the checkbook. He thought that bringing money was enough. But the fact was obviously not so. Seeing Lu Chen's stupefied expression, Liang Zhihao revealed an expression of, "I knew it would be like this," and laughed loudly. "Haha, you really are from the mainland. No wonder you don't know our rules here. Let me tell you, in Sister Jing's charity banquet, the auction items are all contributed by everyone." His laughter was particularly ear-piercing and attracted the attention of many other guests. Liang Zhihao obviously wanted to embarrass Lu Chen on purpose. Lu Chen didn't mind, but Xu Jing almost couldn't bear it anymore. Her pretty face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. Xu Jing's temper had always been very good, but Liang Zhihao was jumping up and down to make things difficult for the guests she invited. Wasn't he making her lose face? There were already dozens of guests in the hall. As a result, before Xu Jing had time to speak, Liang Jiaxing beat her to it and scolded. "Zhihao, you can't be so rude. You keep saying that you are from the mainland. We are all Miss Xu Jing's guests. What are you doing here?" Liang Zhihao was very in awe of his uncle. He shrank his head and didn't say anything. Liang Jiaxing said to Lu Chen apologetically, "Mr. Lu, I'm really sorry. My nephew is stubborn and doesn't follow the rules. Please don't take it to heart." His attitude was very sincere and impeccable, but Lu Chen felt that something was wrong. Especially the word rules in his words sounded particularly ear-piercing. "Old fox." Lu Chen cursed in his heart, but he didn't show it on the surface, as if there was no grudge. He smiled and said, "Mr. Liang, you're too serious. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Since this is the rule of Hong Kong, I should naturally follow it. I have to thank your nephew for reminding me." Lu Chen turned his head and said to Li Zhan beside him, "Give me a business card and a pen." Li Zhan had seen everything that had happened just now. Her heart was filled with anxiety and guilt. Tonight was the first time for this kind of charity banquet hosted by celebrities, and it was also the first time for him to enter the local entertainment circle. It was such an important event that she forgot to tell Lu Chen that it was the rules of the charity banquet. This kind of charity dinner hosted by celebrities was usually played by inviting friends in the circle or upper-class people in the social circle to attend. Those who were invited to the party would donate an auction item, such as a watch, a painting, a string of jewelry, or even a branded bag that had not been used before. At that time, the auction items would take turns to be auctioned. You could bid for your own item or compete with others for the item you like. However, under normal circumstances, the auction price would not be raised too high. In fact, it was a social game. Li Zhan had attended 2 charity banquets before, so she knew it very well. She had failed in her duty. Li Zhan was still thinking about how to make up for it, but Lu Chen actually asked her to take a business card and a pen. She answered in a daze and hurriedly took out Lu Chen's business card and pen from her bag. Lu Chen's business card was just made today. Why did Lu Chen take out her business card? He couldn't be giving one to Liang Jiaxing, could he? That would be a joke. However, Lu Chen didn't mean that at all. He took the business card and pen from Li Zhan, wrote a few words on the north side of the business card, and handed it to Xu Jing. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Sister Jing, this is my charity auction item tonight." Xu Jing took it in confusion. Her eyes swept over the business card. She was puzzled at first, but then she suddenly realized. She pursed her lips and smiled. "This must be the most special auction item tonight. Thank you, Lu Chen." Lu Chen nodded gracefully. "Sister Jing, you're welcome." The two echoed each other. Liang Jiaxing and Liang Zhihao, who were next to them, were extremely curious. They didn't know what Lu Chen was trying to do. He took out a business card and wrote a few words. Moreover, it was highly recognized by Xu Jing. However, the two of them couldn't take the business card from Xu Jing's hands to see what was on it. Liang Jiaxing was shrewd and acted normal, but Liang Zhihao's wandering eyes were a bit ridiculous. Xu Jing was very annoyed with the uncle and nephew. She even regretted giving them an invitation. She put away Lu Chen's business card and said to Lu Chen with a smile, "It's your first time in Hong Kong. I'll introduce some friends to you." Lu Chen couldn't have asked for more. "Thank you, Sister Jing." Xu Jing said to the uncle and nephew, "Please help yourselves. I have to go now." The two of them could only pretend to smile and say that it was okay. Then they left resentfully. After getting rid of the Liang family's uncle and nephew, Xu Jing obviously breathed a sigh of relief. She said softly to Lu Chan, "I'm really sorry. This Mr. Liang may have some ideas about me, but I don't think about emotional problems now." Lu Chan suddenly understood and nodded to show that he understood. No wonder Liang Jiaxing put on a fake smile. He thought that he was a competitor. However, Liang Jihao's attitude was a bit thought-provoking. From this son of a rich family, Lu Chan finally saw some people in the upper class of Xiangjiang, that kind of stale sense of superiority and the mentality of rejection of outsiders. In the past few decades, the development of the mainland was far faster than that of Hong Kong. Hong Kong was no longer a synonym for poverty and backwardness. The living standards of international metropolises such as the capital, Shanghai, and Shenzhen were not worse than that of Hong Kong. They were even better in some aspects. However, some people in Hong Kong couldn't see or ignored this point intentionally or unintentionally. They were still immersed in the glory of the past, and didn't face the huge and irreplaceable impact of the mainland market and resources on Hong Kong. They stuck to their old ways and closed their circle, which led to the development of many aspects lagging behind the times. Hong Kong's once brilliant film and television industry was one of the best examples. And what made Lu Chan feel even more interesting was that Xu Jing actually told him so straightforwardly, as if she was telling her troubles to a real friend. This kind of trusting attitude undoubtedly narrowed the distance between them. With Xu Jing's introduction, Lu Chan got to know many upper-class people in the local circle. Some of them were the bosses of film and television companies, some were the chief editors of entertainment newspapers and magazines, and a few stars and artists. Apart from the small accident just now, his debut in Hong Kong's social circle was a good start. Chapter 430. Xu Jing was the organizer of the charity banquet, so she was the well-deserved protagonist. As a guest, Lu Chan was definitely a supporting character. Of course, the protagonist couldn't accompany the supporting character all the time. She had other guests to entertain. Therefore, after taking Lu Chan around the banquet hall, she could only apologize and say, "Excuse me." Lu Chan expressed his understanding and gratitude. He had gained enough tonight. "You should eat something," Lu Chan said to his assistant. "Don't worry about me. Eat first." Li Zhan was still a little embarrassed and said apologetically, "Boss, next time I receive such an invitation, I will definitely pay attention. Please rest assured." She had been holding these words in her heart for a long time, and now she finally had the opportunity to say them. Li Zhan cherished her current job very much. Her boss was young, handsome, and generous. The treatment in the studio was even better. If her mistake caused Lu Chan to lose face, she would have no face to continue staying. Lu Chan smiled and said, "It's not your fault. Go and get something to eat, or else all the delicious food will be taken away." This charity banquet was a buffet. The long table covered with a snow-white tablecloth was filled with Western-style dishes and desserts. The dishes were rich and classy. Those who were invited to the banquet were not ordinary people, so there was no such thing as the delicious food being taken away. Lu Chan was just joking, which made Li Zhen laugh and her tense heart relax. Lu Chan asked the waiter for a steak, red wine, and a lunch bag. He chose a seat in the corner and sat down ready to eat. "Hello, may I ask?" As soon as he picked up his knife and fork, a young woman appeared in front of him gracefully. She asked in an uncertain tone, "Are you teacher Lu Chan?" This woman in a goose-yellow dress was very beautiful. She was in her 20s, had an oval face, big eyes, and long eyelashes like 2 rows of small fans. Her skin was white, and she was young and beautiful. She also wore a pair of silver and diamond earrings. She was beautiful, but Lu Chan was unfamiliar with her. He stood up and asked, "I'm Lu Chan and you are?" Teacher was not a popular form of address in Xiangjiang. It sounded especially intimate. Therefore, even though he did not know the other party, Lu Chan was still polite. The young woman smiled sweetly and took the initiative to stretch out her hand to Lu Chan. "It's really you. I didn't expect to see the male lead of Autumn in My Heart in Hong Kong. I'm your fan Su Hui. Nice to meet you." "Hello." Lu Chan shook hands with her and asked curiously, "Have you read Autumn in My Heart?" Although Autumn in My Heart had been broadcast in the mainland for more than half a year, This domestic phenomenal urban romance drama had not yet entered Hong Kong, Taiwan and other places. I've seen it 3 times. Su Hui smiled and said, every time I watch it I cry. Yuan Chen Fair acted so well. This TV series is really touching. I watched it online and I really hope that the local TV station can also broadcast it. If it's broadcast locally, it should be soon. Lu Chun was also not very sure because these things related to copyright and broadcasting were all handled by Lu Shi. Su Hui asked, Teacher Lu Chun, may I ask if you came to Xiangjiang to travel and visit friends? Or are you preparing to develop your career here? She added, I want to invite you to have a meal together. I have a lot of things to ask you. This Su Hui's attitude was undoubtedly very sincere, but Lu Chun did not know her background at all. Naturally, it was not good to rashly agree to anything. He smiled and said, you don't have to be polite to treat me to a meal. Let me give you my business card. He handed over a business card of his own. Su Hui took it with both hands and looked at it carefully. She was surprised. Lu Chun Film and Television Studio? You really plan to develop in Xiangjiang. That's really great. Lu Chun asked, may I ask who you are? Su Hui stuck out her tongue. She embarrassedly took out her business card from her bag and presented it. I'm an artist and also Sister Xu Jing's junior sister. Please give me some pointers, Teacher Lu. It was rare to meet a stranger who knew him. Moreover, she was an artist, so Lu Chun chatted with this Su Hui for a while. The two sides chatted quite happily. Su Hui knew the plot of Autumn in My Heart, like the back of her hand. Moreover, she also had a CD album of Lu Chen's, You Who Sat Next to Me, which she bought online. Su Hui was very polite. She did not take up too much of Lu Chen's time. She quickly said goodbye and left. As soon as she left, Xu Jing appeared right behind her. The heroine of tonight's charity dinner looked at Su Hui's back with a meaningful look. She sat beside Lu Chun and said, You get along well with Su Hui? Lu Chun faintly smiled and said, It's all right. She said she's your junior sister from the same sect? She's from the Su family, Xu Jing said. We signed with the same teacher in the same company. Some people say that she is very similar to me in the past, but she is definitely not as stupid as me. Speaking of this, Xu Jing's face showed a bitter smile. However, she immediately restrained her wry smile and said to Lu Chun, My little junior sister is not someone to be trifled with. She often makes news with others, so I have to be responsible for Fair. Lu Chun nodded and said, Thank you for reminding me. He understood what Xu Jing meant. However, he came to Hong Kong to develop his film career, not to make some gossip news and make headlines. Naturally, he understood the principle of propriety. Although a woman like Su Hui was very charming, she was not Lu Chen's cup of tea. Xu Jing smiled and said, As long as you don't think I'm annoying. Eat quickly. The auction will start later. After sending Xu Jing away again, the steak that Lu Chun ordered was almost cold. He did not dislike it. He waved his knife and fork and wiped it out without wasting anything. After filling their stomachs, it was almost time. After the guests finished eating, the waiters took away the tableware and dishes and replaced them with new tablecloths. Soft music sounded and echoed in the hall. On the performance stage, Xu Jing gracefully appeared. She first expressed her gratitude to the guests, then introduced the charity projects that her charity foundation was currently implementing, and finally announced the official start of the auction. Lu Chun received a plate from a waiter. His number was 39. Then on the stage was replaced by an auctioneer in a black tuxedo. The first auction item of Miss Xu Jing's charity auction tonight is... The auctioneer did not waste time and went straight to the point. He announced loudly, An antique watch donated by Sir Kai Hong. The starting price is 10,000 yuan. Chapter 431. As soon as the auctioneer's voice fell, an etiquette lady wearing a cheongsam came forward and showed the first auction item to the hundreds of guests in the banquet hall with a smile on her face. This auction item was a famous antique watch, which belonged to a real collector's item. The starting price of 10,000 yuan was undoubtedly just a gimmick, and someone immediately raised the price to more than 200,000 yuan. 250,000 yuan. This gentleman bids 250,000 yuan. 300,000 yuan. Our beautiful Miss Yuan Ziyun bids 300,000 yuan. 300,000 yuan. Okay, now it's 450,000 yuan from the Honorable Mrs. He. 500,000 yuan. The people who attended this charity banquet were celebrities from Xiangjiang's upper class and entertainment circle. Many of them often went to such social occasions, so they were naturally very familiar with their faces. The auctioneer basically knew all of them. However, unlike ordinary auctions, the auction house of the charity banquet was very competitive. Everyone bid against each other to raise the price, mainly to liven up the atmosphere. Therefore, when the bidding price of this auction item was close to its actual value, there were already very few people who raised their placards. In the end, Kai Hong won his auction item at a price of 580,000 yuan. Thank you, Sir Kai Hong, for your generous donation to poor children. As the auctioneer made the final decision, the audience burst into warm applause. The white-haired old knight stood up and reservedly expressed his gratitude to the applauding guests. This was also very common in charity auctions. Some people would take out their beloved collections to auction, and then bid back for themselves, donating money and showing off at the same time. The guests had a tacit understanding that under such circumstances, no one would suddenly jump out to bid with the original owner at a high price. Those who did not abide by the rules would only be ostracized by the circle. Li Jun dutifully and quietly told Lu Chun what she knew. The two of them very low-key sat in a corner and participated in this charity auction as bystanders. After the first auction item was successfully auctioned, the following items were auctioned one after another. The speed and frequency of the auctions were very fast. Only a few outstanding auction items without the original owner's participation attracted a relatively fierce bidding. Lu Chun bid once and won a Chanel limited edition bag at the price of 50,000 yuan. He transferred the branded bag to his assistant on the spot. For me? Li Jun was pleasantly surprised. She simply couldn't believe it. With her income, even if she clenched her teeth and saved up half a year's salary, she would still be able to afford such a branded bag. However, the price of goods in Xiangjiang was very high, and the living expenses were huge. If she had to fork out 50,000 renminbi to buy a bag, she would definitely be unwilling. On the street stalls at night, you could buy a replica for 50 yuan. However, even though she was reluctant to part with it, very few girls could resist the temptation of a branded bag. Therefore, when she suddenly received this special gift, Li Jun's mood could be imagined. "Boss, you'll make me fall in love with you." After getting along for a few days, Li Jun had a good understanding of her new boss's personality and temper. Lu Chun was generous and easygoing. He never put on airs like a boss and was undoubtedly a person who was easy to get along with. Therefore, she dared to make a harmless joke. It might not necessarily be a joke. Lu Chun couldn't help laughing. "You don't have to fall in love with me. I already have a girlfriend. In the future you should work hard." Lu Chun had always been generous to the people who followed him. Yesterday he gave 2 BMWs. Today it was not a big deal to bid a bag for his assistant and secretary. In the future, he would inevitably rely on Li Jun in his work and life. "Thank you, boss." Li Jun touched the bag in her hand happily, thinking about the scene of taking it out to make her friends envious. The next auction item is a little special. At this moment, the auctioneer standing on the stage introduced a new auction item. His expression was a little strange as he said, "It was donated by Mr. Lu Chun. It's a song that hasn't been written yet." As soon as the auctioneer's voice fell, the banquet hall suddenly burst into an uproar. The previous auction items that had been successfully auctioned included branded jewelry, watches, bags, antique handicrafts, and so on. Now, a song that hasn't been written yet suddenly popped up, which made people feel very inconceivable. The most important thing was that not many people knew who Lu Chun was or had heard of his name. Was this auction item really not taken out to be a joke? Some of the guests were surprised, some were confused, some sneered, and some whispered with others, which made the atmosphere of the scene a little awkward. Someone asked loudly, "A song that hasn't been written yet can be auctioned for charity? Is there a mistake?" The person who stood up to question was none other than Liang Zhihao. Previously he didn't like Lu Chun, but he couldn't make things difficult for Lu Chun, so he always took it to heart. Now that Lu Chun's charity auction item appeared, it was actually just a song. This not only solved the doubts in his heart, but also gave him a new opportunity to mock Lu Chun. Who is Lu Chun? I've never heard of him. Although Liang Jihao's shouting was very rude, his question still resonated with many guests present. Many people looked at Xu Jing, who was sitting in front. The auction items that could be auctioned were all donated by the guests. Xu Jing's charity foundation had been established for many years and had held dozens of fundraising banquets. How could such a thing happen? The auctioneer was very experienced. Seeing such a situation, he immediately explained, Mr. Lu Chan is a famous singer in the mainland. His works have won many awards and he has a high status in the mainland pop music industry. The guests who bid for this song can get a work customized by Mr. Lu Chan or a designated person. The starting price is 10,000 yuan. Unlike the previous situation where someone immediately bid, the banquet hall fell into a subtle silence. The atmosphere was not right. Liang Jihao said sarcastically, So you're from the mainland? No wonder I've never heard of you. He was implying something. Several guests laughed, and some showed a sarcastic look on their faces. It would be strange if someone bid for such a sensational auction item. Maybe this would be the first auction item that would not be auctioned tonight. Then there would be a good show to watch. This guy. Li Zhen was so angry that her eyes turned red. Liang Jihao had gone too far. Lu Chan had no grievances with him. They didn't even know each other before today. How could he be targeted like this? However, Lu Chan, as the person involved, was very calm. He came over to comfort his assistant. We don't need to pay attention to him. It's not worth getting angry for him. But Li Zhen bit her lip. She wanted to say that with Liang Jihao messing things up like this, how could Lu Chen's song be auctioned? How could he continue to stay here?